It's how they play without him, and interesting to see that Theo Walcott's been given the opportunity to partner Shay Adams tonight. They haven't gone with Shane Long, who is a centre forward who has lacked goals chronically, really, for a long time in his career. I actually think this is probably Theo Walcott's best position, and always has been ever since he went to Arsenal. And interesting to see tonight his pace, how that affects the Newcastle defence.
It's what he's always wanted, isn't it? I mean, he was at Arsenal with the likes of Thierry Henry, so it was always going to be difficult. But there were stages where Arsene Wenger sort of tried it, gave him a little run, never quite became prolific. His move to Everton was always in his mind about being up front. Never happened there. Obviously, they had Romelu Lukaku for a little bit of time as well while he was at Everton, and then now back at the club that he started with as a boy. What an opportunity, really, because it's not like Adams has, torn it up, really, is it, since he arrived?
No, he hasn't. No, I mean, it took Shay Adams a long time to acclimatise, really, to the Premier League. Scored that wonder goal towards the end of the season, and started the season okay. 2 goals so far this season. I think he'll be happy with his overall contribution, but he's not an out-and-out goal scorer like Danny Ings was. It's a real opportunity for Theo Walcott if he can come in these 5 or 6 weeks that Danny Ings is going to be out, get some goals and really put himself in the frame to partner Danny Ings when he gets back fit.
What does it do to a team when you lose your star man like this? I'd say extended. Obviously, we know it's not going to be months, but still, when he really is the talisman, what does it do to the rest of the players?
It just puts doubts in your mind, and those doubts won't be there at the moment. But if they go into this game and, for instance, Shay Adams and Theo Walcott have a couple of early chances and they don't take them, and the game suddenly is 0-0 going to 70 minutes and they think they've dominated the game and they should have taken those chances, that's when you start to think, we haven't got a goal in the team, how are we going to score goals? And it puts more pressure on the players then behind the ball. The defenders start to think, well, we have to keep a clean sheet here because we're not going to score many goals, and it just puts in the back of their mind a little bit more pressure.
Clean sheets few and far between right the way across the Premier League so far this season. May well be that they need to keep one. Their record against Newcastle is awful. Newcastle unbeaten in the last 6 meetings of these two sides. They've won their last 3. We'll speak about them and plenty more in the build-up coming up in just a few moments' time, as well as what's to come throughout the rest of this Premier League weekend at the start of match day 8 in the Premier League. We'll be back shortly. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. Impress Lost Tribes people of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated TalkSport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at talksport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on TalkSport. TalkSport. Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to talksport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new TalkSport swimming pool. Goff! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on TalkSport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Doug, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double-strength drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him. I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on TalkSport. Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on sport. TalkSport. It's the Double O Duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got pussy galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on TalkSport.
TalkSport. Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents, and entertain the kids with the improved TalkSport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from TalkSport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. TalkSport.
Welcome back. We are building to Southampton against Newcastle from St Mary's. What may well be a fascinating clash of styles of two sides that have started pretty well by their own standards in the Premier League this season, but with question marks in particular of Saints, who of course are lacking their star man Danny Ings. Chris, let's talk a little bit about Newcastle. I found it fascinating hearing from Steve Bruce in the build-up to this game. He has absolutely backed the concern, I guess, that Brendan Rodgers raised in a press conference earlier this week, that the British managers simply do not get the credit and even the opportunities that they deserve, both at home and abroad. I just wonder whether you think that Bruce has got a point specifically about himself. I mean, you think of Rodgers, he got a big job at Liverpool, didn't he? And he made a decent fist of it.
Yeah, I think he'll get another big job as well when he leaves Leicester. I think there'll be a lot of clubs interested in Brendan Rodgers. I think.
Can Bruce be placed in a similar bracket?
I think he's done a decent job at most clubs that he's been to. I just think you look at the style of football that he plays, and he's pretty dour, But
is that because of his job has been to stay in the Premier League always, hasn't it?
Yeah,
at every club
it has. But I'm saying to you that I watched the Newcastle game last week, and a fantastic result it was against Everton, but Everton were really poor on the day. Had there been 50,000 Geordies in that stadium, they'd have been booing the style of football. They do not want to see that style of football. It was dour, it was basically down to Everton making mistakes that they won the game, and a couple of set pieces is where they look dangerous. They don't play with any sort of style or verve, and I think that's why he hasn't maybe got the job that his record maybe deserves.
Well, I mean, who would take him? Who would have looked at it, that record, and thought, yeah, okay. I mean, I wonder whether he needs to get a sort of, almost if he replaced Rodgers at Leicester and kept exactly them doing that.
Yeah. I think he could go into a job somewhere like that, and then that would be a real test, because Brendan Rodgers has got them playing some beautiful football at times, Leicester, some really attractive stuff. If Steve Bruce was to go in there and take over from someone like Brendan Rodgers and carry on and improve that style of football and play that style of football, then you feel that then he might be in line for a bigger job somewhere down the line.
Would they take him, Leicester?
I think he'd be in with a chance, yeah, without a doubt. I think Chris Wilder as well, someone like that, could be in with a chance of getting a job like that. Done a fantastic job last season at Sheffield
United. Is he the one, of all the Brits around the Premier League away from Rodgers, is he the one you think, yeah, he might be the guy to step up? But of course, the other one that for a lot of time we talked about was Eddie Howe.
Well, Eddie Howe is waiting for a job. I mean, he's going to be a candidate for the likes of those clubs if one of their managers was to move on. I can imagine someone like Newcastle looking at Eddie Howe immediately because of the style of football, because he kept Bournemouth in the Premier League for a number of seasons. And I think Sheffield United, Chris Wilder did a brilliant job last season, but I think your time's always going to run out at a club the size of Sheffield United.
He's the opposite Eddie Howe, isn't he, of Steve Bruce? Absolutely. In terms of Bruce's defensive solidity. I mean, Howe's side conceded, I think off the top of my head, 60 goals in 5 consecutive seasons in the Premier League.
They played some good football, didn't they?
It didn't keep them up.
It didn't in the end, but the fact that he got them into the Premier League and kept them in the Premier League for that amount of time was a fantastic achievement. And you always feel with the small clubs that they can only survive for a certain amount of time. There's always going to be a sell-by date on them, if you like, and I think it's going to be the same with Sheffield United. Chris Wilder did a brilliant job, but I don't know how long he can keep doing that job with the way that those clubs are set up.
Certainly a feeling that probably outside the top 8, everyone at some point will end up back in the Championship. Listen, there's loads more action to go round the weekend. We've already had Brighton 0, Burnley 0, real disappointing one that for John Howick and Sean Derry, who were commentating on Premier League Live before us. We've got Southampton, Newcastle. There are 4 more games tomorrow. Everton, Man United, that's at 12:30 UK time. Crystal Palace, Leeds at 3. Chelsea, Sheffield United 5:30. London Derby, West Ham, Fulham is the evening game on Saturday. Sunday, West Brom, Spurs, Leicester, Wolves. Just a little one between Manchester City and Liverpool, and Arsenal and Aston Villa. We're going to focus on City and Liverpool for just a moment now. We're going to hear from Jurgen Klopp, who has confirmed, despite goals from Diogo Jota, hasn't he been superb, got a hat-trick in midweek in the Champions League, that Roberto Firmino will keep his place in spite of the Portuguese performances.
We would not be in the Champions League even if Bobby Firmino would not be with us. And immediately I have to explain why he is not in the team. He will be in the team, and is our for a lot of people in the world, if we would ask them what makes Liverpool some days special, I would say the way Bobby Firmino is playing, because he's on a good day not to defend. For us, it's important that we have more than 11. And tonight, Diogo used his shape in an incredible way and played a super game, but that says nothing about Bobby and has absolutely nothing to do with me causing headaches. I'm more than happy that the boys play like that. That the boys played like they played tonight.
Roberto Firmino, Chris, is my favourite Liverpool player. I just wonder if he's one of those that football, not that I'm a footballer by any means, I should say, but I just wonder if he's one of those that footballers appreciate perhaps a little bit more than fans in some ways.
Yeah, for me, he's a bit like an Olivier Giroud. I think every team is better with an Olivier Giroud in it. He may not score as many goals, but every single player that plays alongside him appreciates what he does for the team. And I think Firmino's the same. I think Salah and Mane get the amount of goals that they do because of Firmino's work and what he does off the ball for them. And I think the fact that Jota has come in and scored the hat-trick in midweek is brilliant for Jurgen Klopp, because it gives them competition. He can slot into any of those 3-4 positions now, Jota, and he's in tremendous form. So it means that those 3 now have to perform week in, week out, and if one of them just drops off, he can slot Jota straight in there and have a replacement that's going to be as good.
Yeah. Now, Liverpool famously, briefly last week, were top of the Premier League with the worst defence in the Premier League until West Brom went and got beaten. But I mean, have they got any way of keeping out this Manchester City team on that basis? They got hammered by them, didn't they, in the game immediately after winning the title last year? Does that have any bearing?
I don't think it has any bearing at all. I think Liverpool were cruising to the title. I think they already knew before restart, really, that they were going to get over the line. It was just a case of when they were partying the week before they played Manchester City. This is a big game. I think Liverpool are the best team in the league, even without Van Dijk for the season. Alisson back in goal is huge for them. The fact that they were missing Alisson and Van Dijk recently, I think it hasn't helped them defensively. And I think Alisson back in goal gives them that stability. And I think, although they mix and match it at the back with the young lads coming in, Williams has come in, playing alongside Gomez, and he's had a few different partners. They've managed to get some decent results.
Yeah, but it's all about we'll score one more than you, isn't it? And I wonder whether against Man City that
City's
becomes a much more difficult. No, but they have only conceded 8, which I know sounds a lot after 6 games.
Liverpool have conceded 7 in one game.
Yeah, and yes, that's true. That is true. So if you take those 7 away, then they've got the same defence.
Yeah,
but you can't take those 7 away, can you? That's the point.
It was a blip, wasn't it? I mean, it was a blip. It was one of those nights where everything Villa did went right, everything Liverpool did went wrong. Liverpool, for me, will win the title whether they got Van Dijk for the season or not. The fact that they're top now without him just suggests that the league isn't strong enough. Manchester City aren't consistent enough to challenge Liverpool, I don't think. And if they can get Henderson on the pitch and have Alisson on the pitch, I think they'll have enough.
Fascinating. City have got Gabriel Jesus back. He came on, scored in the Champions League in midweek. Whatever happens, it's the battle between the two best squads in the Premier League, without a shadow of a doubt. Tom Rennie and Paul Parker will bring you full commentary of Manchester City against Liverpool. Interesting that there's a Man United legend involved in that game between the two biggest rivals of Manchester United, and of course the two biggest rivals in many people's eyes for the title. Arsenal against Aston Villa looks like an interesting contest as well. Tim Long and Kit Simons will be commentating on that one. It's the one that rounds out the Premier League weekend. 7:15 UK time, Sunday night kickoff. 6:45 the show begins. Let's hear from Mikel Arteta, because it was a super victory for Arsenal at Manchester United last week, and he's described it as a huge achievement.
We needed that because we were really disappointed with the result against Leicester, considering how the game went. But to see the reaction of the team in such a stadium, with the history we have in terms of results, playing at Old Trafford, and then the courage, I said to the game, before the game and after the game, that I wanted to see the team playing with courage, being us. And I think we were us from the first minutes. And to get a big result over there, obviously it's always a big boost in terms of confidence and belief. And now it's being consistent and doing it again in 3 days later.
Chris, is Mikel Arteta the new Ole Gunnar Solskjaer or the new Pep Guardiola when he was at Barcelona?
I think he's very different to both. I think his style of football, for me, is evolving. I think he's looked at the squad, he's seen that there's deficiencies at the back, he's played a completely new system to try and make up for those deficiencies. He's got them defensively really solid now, and the game against Manchester United was probably the first time where I've really seen them be really defensively solid but actually play some really good football going forward as well. I think what they've done against the big teams since he's taken over up to now is sat back and played on the counter-attack and just used the ball in behind to get in, whereas actually they played through Manchester United on quite a few occasions and probably should have scored more goals and won the game deservedly.
Yeah, it was a comfortable victory. Arsenal against Aston Villa, 7:15 kickoff on Sunday night. But we're 8.5 minutes away from kickoff in our game this evening. Time we focus once more on Southampton against Newcastle. You'll hear from Steve Bruce momentarily. First though, the Saints boss Ralph Hasenhüttl.
He will get a surgery tomorrow morning, a small one, hopefully, but it is one, and that means that we don't have him for the next 4 to 6 weeks. It can be worse, as I said, but is out, and this is sure not a good news for us. We can definitely say that we are more than only Danny Ings. I think we scored also in the last game 3 other goals, so it's a big loss for us that we don't have him, but it's important now for the other players to give us alternatives. I mean, nobody has to play like Danny Ings in the moment. It's not possible, but also not necessary. Every player who comes on the pitch should play his best possible game.
One of the main reasons is the performance of Danny, and I think I speak on behalf of all football fans that we're so pleased it's not one of them ones where it's going to keep him out for another 12 months. Thankfully, it looks as if it's a minor operation, won't make him out for 4 to 6 weeks. This is according to reports, of course, and I do wish him a speedy recovery. He deserves a bit of luck, because the way he's come back with 2 cruciate injuries is quite a remarkable achievement, so I wish him the best of luck.
The issue is when you don't perform how you can, and that's the reason for us to look what player in the moment gives us the best form, who is in the best form in the moment. Then we will adapt the game that he can bring his strengths on the pitch, and this is the challenge for us, for the staff, and in the end for the team, to show that even if we have 2-3 changes in the team, we can still be competitive, and this is what we want to do.
He's decent in the air, he's got good pace, he holds it up well, and the most important thing he does is score a goal, which I think he's got 3 goals from a yard this year, which is an unbelievable knack. I mean, you can't coach that. It's just that instinct to being in the right place where you should be when a ball flashes across the 6-yard box. He's done very, very well. He's settled in very well, because it's never easy to be the centre forward in Newcastle. So fair play to him. He's grasped it and looks as if he's enjoying his football at the minute.
Callum Wilson, Chris, I mean, in a way, he's exactly what we say about teams that are relegation threatened, don't we? If you can find someone to put the ball in the net, that's mid-table as opposed to relegation. They've done it with Wilson.
They have. They've got a goal scorer. I mean, he struggled at the end of last season with Bournemouth. He really did, and he looked like he just lost his touch. But 6 goals in 7 games has been a brilliant return for him. And as Steve Bruce said, he's scoring tap-ins, he's scoring good goals, he's scoring headers, he's scoring every type of goal, and he's a natural goal scorer, and you can see the confidence flowing through him. And if they can get him a chance, there's every chance he'll take it.
Do you make, because they've got their goal scorer and Saints haven't, does it swing who's favourite for you tonight?
It certainly makes it a lot closer. I think Southampton are just favourites playing at home, but Newcastle were very impressive against Everton, very difficult to break down.
Well, we wait to see whether Saints can do it. It could be a fascinating encounter. Southampton looking to go top of the Premier League this evening. Full 90-minute commentary on its way here on Premier League Live.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio.
Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale. Weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big-name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Raven. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
In the spring of the year 2020 AD, a deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talksportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19, because what you do today will echo in eternity.
TalkSport Legion, a soon-Cortis formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet centurions. Together, Legion, TalkSportus can defeat it.
TalkSportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on, stay informed, and give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of TalkSport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of TalkSport.
For all the latest news, opinions and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online, via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
Welcome back. You join us at St Mary's Stadium, where the last post is playing, and ahead of a period of silence in remembrance of those who have fought and died fighting for their country in the Great Wars. As always, in these empty stadiums, the times of empty stadia, silence impeccably observed, with the wreaths of poppies placed inside the centre circle by the two captains who tonight are James Ward-Prowse and Jamal Lascelles. But welcome along now to TalkSport's coverage of Southampton against Newcastle from St Mary's. I'm your host, Toby Gillis. Alongside me, a former Southampton defender, Chris Perry. This is Premier League Live. Let me remind you of the team news. 2 changes for Southampton from their win over Aston Villa. Danny Ings injured, Ryan Bertrand injured. In their place, Moussa Djenepo and Jack Stevens. We think that they're keeping the same system, the 4-4-2, with Alex McCarthy in goal. Kyle Walker-Peters, Jan Bednarek, Yannick Vestergaard and Jack Stevens across the back. Stevens could slip into a back 3 should they need. Then Stuart Armstrong, Oriol Romeo, James Ward-Prowse and Moussa Djenepo across the middle. Theo Walcott partnering Shea Adams up front. No change for Newcastle from their win over Everton last time out. Carl Darlow is the goalkeeper. Fabian Schär, Jamal Lascelles and Federico Fernandez the back 3. Jacob Murphy on the right, Jamal Lewis on the left, with the midfield 3 of Sean Longstaff, Jeff Hendrick and Miguel Almiron. And then Alan Saint-Maximin will support Callum Wilson up front. Newcastle in their change strip as the players take to the knee. No room for racism. The campaign that continues and will continue with everybody's backing here at TalkSport International. And they are now up and underway. Newcastle shooting from left to right today in their really rather bright kit underneath a hail of fireworks this evening, with Southampton in their home jerseys of the red with the white sash and the black shorts. My word, that is some display that we've got over the stadium. And hopefully, Chris Perry, we're going to get some fireworks tonight, although it's not really been the way of Newcastle games this season.
No, Newcastle make it very difficult for the opposition, certainly, to play. They did last week against Everton, and I'm sure they'll try and do the same tonight. Try and stifle any attacking thoughts that they've got.
Well, they've played the ball out to the right-hand side. Out of play it has gone on this near side for a Southampton throw-in, and as suspected, it is Jack Stevens who's starting on the left-hand side. It can't be fun playing as a centre-half down at full-back, I wouldn't have thought, in the modern game.
It's not enjoyable, no. No, as a centre-back, you like to be in the middle of the pitch with players either side of you. You don't want to be in those wide areas exposed against a quick winger. It'll be interesting to see whether Jacob Murphy will be able to get at Jack Stevens.
Ball in the middle of the Southampton defensive. Vestergaard, Saint-Maximin, bundle of energy as always, chasing down. It's cleared away by Alex McCarthy, the Saints goalkeeper. Callum Wilson can't maintain possession. Honestly, they sound like bombs going off, don't they, the fireworks? We can assure you that everybody is safe. Ball is with Lewis over on the far side. He's done well actually with 2 red and white shirts around him, but then the pass up towards Saint-Maximin, he absolutely launched himself at it to try and keep possession for his team, but it found its way to Stevens. They've come back to the goalkeeper, and now here is Yannick Vestergaard, who I will never ever recognise having cut his hair short.
I struggle too, having watched him in the Bundesliga with that long flowing locks that
Absolutely.
he had.
I sort of like him less now, which is ridiculous. Stevens into Walcott, just dropping deep from his new position up front. And he's seen plenty of early ball. Now Vestergaard going long down the right-hand side. Can he find the run over there of Walker-Peters? No, it's headed away by Lewis. Found Almiron. Almiron has won the throw-in off of Kyle Walker-Peters. And it's pretty much as we expected, isn't it, in terms of setup?
Shape. Yeah, in terms of team shapes, they both set up as we expected. But I think Kyle Walker-Peters has a little bit more freedom probably to get forward down that right hand side than Jack Stevens will, and obviously Stevens will then just tuck round and almost make it a back 3 for Southampton when Walker-Peters is high up the pitch.
Tonight's game is one of those where you can make the stats work in favour of either of the two teams. Newcastle are unbeaten in the last 6 meetings. They've won the last 3 and they're on the attack here. Almiron briefly Wilson I should say just briefly found a little bit of a gap, and then the ball in from the right hand side by Murphy took a deflection off of Djenepo, and it's gone out of play for a Newcastle throw, which is taken quickly by Murphy. Gives it to Saint-Maximin, runs into Djenepo with the dyed blonde hair. He's let it hit his trailing leg, his standing leg, and it bounces off of his ankle, and into touch again, far side for the throw. I think Newcastle will be relieved at that because they took it quickly last time and it was a bit of a waste.
It worked, did it?
Fabian Schär forward to take. Drops it into Longstaff, and that time it was Gineppo who's just allowed it to run out for a throw. I was just about to say the stats will work either way. As I say, Newcastle unbeaten in 6, haven't lost any of their last 3 trips to St Mary's, including a 1-0 win back in March when Alain Saint-Maximin scored and Gineppo actually was sent off in that game. But equally, Southampton have lost just 2 of the last 26 home league games against Newcastle, dating all the way back to 1973. So you pays your money, you takes your choice.
Yeah, I think the game could go either way. I think the longer it stays at 0-0, the more you fancy Newcastle to win it. But just saw a picture of James Ward-Prowse on our monitors in front of us, and he's the man really in form. If Newcastle get sloppy and give away free kicks anywhere near the penalty box, he is the man to take advantage of that. His free kicks last week were absolutely sensational.
Yeah, 2 goals.
Scored 2, set up 1. Very dangerous, and so Newcastle will be very much aware of that threat and will have to be very diligent defensively around the penalty area.
Walcott there just burst onto Federico Fernandez, has given away the free kick. It's going to be taken just inside his own half by Fabian Schär. The Swiss goes across to the far side, and now forward they come through Lascelles. Header away by Stevens. It'll drop to Saint-Maximin with the headband, but Gineppo takes it off of him, and then using his right foot behind Walker Peters is going to force him into some defensive action. Couple of step overs that Almiron himself would have been proud of, but his pass away has found only Hendrick. Hendrick got a couple of bites of the cherry there. He's ended up running into Oriol Romeo, who turned it into touch. But Newcastle, I think, would be encouraged by their start. Southampton really struggling to get out of their own half at this moment in time.
Yeah, they are. Gineppo was really poor there in possession. Sloppy square ball, put Walker Peters under pressure. He's got another chance here, does better this time.
Working it left for Stevens. Still at the back though, they have it with Vestergaard. And now to his right for Bednarek. Was a little bit of a doubt, Jan Bednarek, with a head problem that he picked up against Aston Villa, but he's okay today. A couple of others that were also a doubt, Ryan Bertrand and Ibrahima Diallo. Well, Bertrand, as we know, is out. Diallo has made the bench, which I should really have a read down of now. Fraser Forster is the Southampton keeper. They've got Shane Long, Nathan Redmond, Nathan Teller, Ibrahima Diallo, Kane Ramsey and Daniel Nlundulu. Well, there are options as Walcott's trying to force errors in the defensive third for Newcastle. They might have just done it as well. Ward-Prowse, then it goes round the corner again, and the bending shot from Shea Adams towards goal is beaten away by Carl Darlow out to the far side, and it's picked up by the all-action Almiron, who needs a little bit of help. He might have it in Lewis, he's not. He's given it away. Walcott to Adams, and this time he does make no mistake. 7 on the clock. Southampton take the lead. Adams with 2 efforts in quick succession. Walcott hassling, harrying in arguably his familiar place down the right wing, but great centre forwards play to pressure. Almiron with the mistake, Walcott with the pass, Shea Adams with the instinctive finish, first time into the top corner. Saints 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, the initial shot was aiming for the top corner, good save from Darlow. Almiron just takes too long, should have just laid it back to Lewis, gets caught in possession. Walcott just cuts it back towards the penalty spot where Shea Adams is waiting, hits it beautifully on the volley with his right foot into the far corner, catches it brilliantly, rifles past Carl Darlow, who just doesn't have time to react. Brilliant finish from Adams, but Almiron will be really disappointed. He had a simple pass back to Jamal Lewis just to clear the danger, and he gets caught in possession and gives away the goal.
Shea Adams' 3rd goal of the season. And Theo Walcott's hurt his finger in the build-up to that goal somehow. And Newcastle, well, it's so difficult for them when they fall behind in games, Newcastle. They've won just 2 of 21 after conceding first under Steve Bruce, although it should be pointed out the last time they did that was back in December last season against Southampton.
The problem for Newcastle is they're set up perfectly to defend and hit things on the counter-attack, and if they take the lead, it plays into their hands. They don't have the system of play or the players really to go and chase a game.
Ball poorly given away to Armstrong, but he's run into Lewis and given it away. And now here's Fernandez across to Lascelles, and Cher to his right. Drops it in to Longstaff. Longstaff works it right for Murphy, who wanted the give and go. It hasn't come for him, and Southampton win it high up again. Walcott moving in from the left this time, gives it to Romeo. Newcastle have got bodies behind the ball again. That looked briefly like a chance to break at pace, but the impetus has gone out of it, and the press by Newcastle has forced Southampton back towards the halfway line.
Theo Walcott might have been a little bit more positive there, but decided against taking on the defender or trying the shot. Just decided to recycle possession, and Southampton have just been forced back since. Going to end up with their goalkeeper here.
The last time Southampton played on a Friday night in the Premier League, they lost 9-0. Yeah, absolutely.
They've lost all 3 of their Premier League games played on a Friday night, so it's not been a success for them.
Nowhere else to be on a Thursday night anymore, so maybe that's helped them out. If you're not aware, we are in lockdown in England because of the coronavirus situation, but the Premier League this time, unlike last, has managed to find a way to continue playing, and we're all very grateful for it. Vestergaard gives it to Stevens at TalkSport Live, by the way. If you want to get in touch with us wherever you are listening around the world, get on Twitter. I did ask, maybe a bit tongue-in-cheek, but they are potentially going top of the Premier League right now. Could Southampton be title contenders?
No.
Right, okay.
So is the plain answer. Their squad isn't deep enough for that, but they could certainly be pushing for those Europa League spots.
I always think, though, in this season of all seasons, I would tend to agree with you, but it's going to be a bit survival of the fittest, isn't it? And not having Europe, and maybe early exits in other competitions, domestic competitions, possibly could help you out, or am I being a bit romantic?
I think you're being a little bit romantic, but certainly it's going to help not having European competition, without a doubt. I just think there's a lot of teams that have made improvements over the summer that are better than Southampton, really, over a whole season.
Armstrong works it right to Romeo. Now Walker-Peters inside the area. He's really rather drilled that one at his marker. It's come back out to Romeo on the far side. Adams just wanted that more, managed to turn from the tight angle he'd forced himself into, really, and that one is straight at Carl Darlow. Pretty easy one, but again, Saints encouraged, I would have thought, by their start.
Yeah, it's poor defending from Newcastle. Lascelles was marking Adams, just allowed him to take a touch and get on the half turn and fire a shot. He needs to get a lot tighter in the box to Adams.
Vestergaard has it at the back for Saints. Now Ward-Prowse gives it to Stevens.
They look in control now, Southampton, don't they? You know, that goal settled them down. They're passing the ball around with a lot of confidence now.
Comes narrow a lot of the time, and it's quite interesting because, you know, when they're in possession, they really are a back three, aren't they, really, with Stevens, Vestergaard and
Walker-Peters is playing like a right winger,
yes,
isn't he?
and he's chasing the ball at the moment. I think that's going to ask a bit much for him. Yeah, it was shepherded behind just enough by Jamal Lewis, and it's allowed. It's interesting the positions that Walcott and Armstrong have taken up. They're sort of narrow behind Shea Adams, aren't they? And they're causing trouble. It's difficult to pick up.
Yeah, it's almost becomes a 3-4-2-1 for Southampton. And when you think about a team that kind of plays like that, it's almost like Leipzig, obviously, where Ralf Hasenhüttl came from and made his name at. Really, they played the 4-2-2-2 a lot of the time, but at times it ended up being a 3 with one of the fullbacks getting really high up the pitch.
Certainly did. He's had a good grounding at Leipzig, and he did very, very well at Ingolstadt
too,
as well.
Yep.
Did Ralf Hasenhüttl, who incidentally today, this is his 69th league game in charge of Southampton. He's never had that many league games in charge of either of his previous two clubs. In fact, it was 68 at Leipzig. Record so far, 27 wins, 14 draws, 27 defeats. If he makes it 28 wins tonight, then they will be top of the table. They only need 2 more to have scored 100 league goals under him, and they're attacking again with Walcott. Did that take a deflection off of Fernandes?
No, it didn't.
Woeful?
No, that's just you being hopeful for him. No, he looked to try and bend it towards the top corner and didn't get his foot round it at all. Just came off the instep of his foot and went wide. But once again, it's a midfield player. I think it's Longstaff getting caught in possession from Newcastle. They just haven't started the game well. They look like they're still on the team coach. Steve Bruce will be really worried here.
We've seen repeatedly with Southampton that they pick up coaches, that have not been in the Premier League before, develop them, and then they go on to what they deem as bigger things. I just wonder how difficult it'll be to keep Hasenhüttl, because, you mentioned it when I suggested, perhaps a bit tongue-in-cheek, they might be title contenders. It's unrealistic, isn't it? And he would have big ambition, I would have thought.
Yeah, when you think he was at Leipzig, and the ambition at Leipzig was to try and break into the top four in the Bundesliga and to get into European football, and then obviously their ambition now is to go on and actually challenge Bayern Munich and win the Bundesliga. So he's come with that sort of expectation, very, very highly thought of in European football, and I think he'll get a good job after this one. It's just going to be a matter of where.
And when, perhaps ominously for Saints. Vestergaard has it. Gives it back to Bednarek. All through the lines looking for Theo Walcott. Couldn't find him there. It's going to come back at him. The pole wins it, but it's going to drop down to Hendrick. Hendrick out to the left-hand side for Almiron. It's just a little behind him, so it's allowed Armstrong to get goal side, and he's come back down the line. Over on the far side for Lewis. Jamal Lewis, the expensive signing from Norwich, £15 million. I suppose 15 million isn't that expensive in the modern era, is it anymore, really? But
he's a decent signing, but nothing spectacular, steady Eddie type player, isn't he? And exactly what you'd expect from Newcastle, really. Doesn't break the bank, but will probably play you 36 games a season, and he's going to be a 6 or 7 out of 10.
There were suggestions of Barcelona at one stage in the summer, weren't there, from for Jamal Lewis?
Were there? Really?
Yeah, genuine, proper suggestions.
I watched him at Norwich last season, and he did okay, but he's very limited going forward.
It wasn't his fault, the goal, that's for sure. It was very much Miguel Almiron's, and Lewis was available for the simple pass.
Yeah, but you're going to get that with attacking players in defensive positions. They don't realise where they are. They don't sense the danger, and they try and do the same things they would at the top end of the pitch. And if you get caught in those areas of the pitch, you're going to give away goals.
Almiron was their top goal scorer last season in all competitions with 8. Callum Wilson has already got 6 this season. Ralph Hasenhüttl's voice you can just hear there.
He wants them to play out from the back, doesn't he? He's encouraging Alex McCarthy to give it to his centre half and play, trying to suck Newcastle onto them to leave some space to exploit. Adams has done really
brilliant.
Well so far.
Yeah, he's done really well there as well, to take the ball away from Jacob Murphy when it looked for all the world it was going to find him. And his team continue in possession with Ward Prowse moving it to the right for Carl Walker-Peters. Back he comes into his own half for Bednarek, and then Vestergaard. I was really surprised at how Vestergaard has taken to the Premier League, because I didn't expect it. More on that in a moment, because they've given the ball away, and here comes Wilson. Callum Wilson, has he found the gap to Alain Saint-Maximin? Just didn't have the weight of the pass. It looked to all the world like it might have opened up for the shot, but he decided against taking it on.
It was a poor pass from Stevens, and Callum Wilson finds himself 1v1 with Vestergaard. You wonder if he could have been a little bit more positive and really driven at Vestergaard and tried to get a shot away. He was only on the edge of the box. I thought he was a little bit unselfish there.
Here's Almiron driving towards the byline left side. Carl Walker-Peters slides in. First corner of the game goes the way of the visitors, Newcastle. I was just about to say about Vestergaard, I sort of wasn't convinced by him in the Bundesliga when he was at Borussia Mönchengladbach. He always got goals, and I always wonder whether sometimes that grabs headlines and players end up in the psyche of coaches. But I wasn't convinced about him defensively, but he's got there, hasn't he? Certainly, he's a decent Premier League defender.
It's taken him a while though. He'd struggled to get into the team last season, didn't he?
Maybe it's the haircut. Here's the corner. In it goes. Oh, it's a clean header. I thought for a second as the keeper flapped that Lascelles was going to simply head into an empty net, and maybe, just maybe, McCarthy did enough to put him off, and it's ended up outside the 18-yard box and over on the near side.
It was a really positive decision from McCarthy to come and get the ball, but he looked like he got absolutely nowhere near it. And as you say, it was almost a free header for Lascelles, but just couldn't get the contact he wanted on it.
It was an empty net to find if he had. Instead, Saints bring it away. Here's Romeo over on the far side, midpoint of his own half for Walker Peters. Launches that one long for Adams to chase. Dealt with rather awkwardly over on the far side by Lewis. Finds Fernandez. Now here's the flowing locked Irishman, Hendrick. In some ways, from this position, he looks a bit like Vestergaard used to, doesn't he, with that hair, similar colour.
He does.
Flowing behind him. Ball is with Carl Darlow, the number 2 keeper really for Newcastle in the absence of Dubravka. Now, can Alan Saint-Maximin get a run at some point? Bit of freedom for Newcastle. Don't think that ball from Almiron was intended for him, but he's ridden one tackle, and now he comes and attacks 2 more red shirts. Tries the ball into the box. That's taken a deflection off a Saints player from nowhere, really. Saint-Maximin's won his team the corner. 19.5 gone here in Premier League Live. It's Saints 1, Newcastle 0.
Yeah, well, that's where Saint-Maximin's dangerous, isn't it? When he picks the ball up and is able to turn and run at defenders. He can ghost past players, very unpredictable in possession.
Forward comes Fernandez. Forward comes Cher. Forward comes Lascelles. Plenty of height to aim for. Longstaff towards the near post. Wilson's flick on doesn't beat the next man along. And Gineppo has it out on the right hand side. Booms that one away. Header by Almiron will find Saint-Maximin on the far side. Steps away from the Gineppo challenge, who sold himself really. And then he runs back at Gineppo, who's done well to keep it in. Has he? No. It's a throw in for Newcastle. 100% convinced about Gineppo's performance so far, Chris.
I've never been 100% convinced about Gineppo since he's come. He can do some magical things with the ball, but he's a player a bit like Saint-Maximin, really, who very unpredictable in possession. You never know what you're going to get. He can take people on and look brilliant one moment, but then look like a park player the next.
The Malian, as mentioned, he was sent off against Newcastle in March. Actually, a VAR decision. He was given a yellow card for a tackle on Isaac Hayden. It was upgraded from yellow to red. Just 22 years of age. Time to improve. Back in the team, having missed the last 3, a couple of them through injury, and then he was on the bench against Villa. I think Hasenhüttl quite likes him, actually. He's part of a team that is winning the game so far, but arguably the least effective performer, I think it's fair to say. Cher has it midpoint of his own half, right of centre, finds Saint-Maximin running through the middle. That's a nice ball up to Lewis. Now an opportunity for him to get the ball in, and it's just behind the 3 yellow shirts that were waiting. Cleared by Stevens, on by Walker Peters. Adams can't keep it. It's Hendrick that wins it back, and in the centre circle there's Lascelles. To his right for Cher. Now Saint-Maximin, 21.5 on the clock. Almiron stepping away from Armstrong and moving it left for Lewis. Bit more time to get the cross in. Gets a bit more height on it. Longstaff with the header. That's a decent effort, that. It needed to be either side of the keeper, though. Comfortable save for Alex McCarthy.
Yeah, lovely ball in from Jamal Lewis. Sean Longstaff arriving late into the penalty area. I think Vestergaard there at 6'6" or wherever he is should be heading this away. He gets underneath it and misses it completely. Longstaff times his run perfectly, gets a powerful header on it, just has to place it a yard either side of McCarthy, and he'd have scored.
Had a couple of chances, Lewis, doesn't he, to prove you wrong in terms of the attacking endeavour.
His first cross was disappointing, but the second one was certainly better.
Yeah. If you do it enough, some of them are going to be
good.
Absolutely,
yeah. No, but he had lots of time, didn't he? It was a really dangerous ball into a good area. Very well attacked by Longstaff.
At TalkSport Live, you want to give us a prediction? Samuel from Lagos, Nigeria. It'll be tough for Southampton, but they will win it. They're on an impressive run. Shane Moran. Southampton have done really well, building a good team, good manager. They'll be among the top half of the table for the next few seasons. And as always, I'd like you to send pictures in. Show me your view wherever you are in the world. We've got you listening across the entire world, every continent, we'd like to think.
Well, I got a invite to South Beach, Miami last Sunday.
Oh, very nice.
For the Newcastle game, yeah.
Very nice.
I've got to pay my own way.
I was going to say, not all expenses covered then.
But he looked beautiful with it. The view from where he was listening to the game.
Would have been some time to go over there during the election campaign as well, I'd have thought.
A bit mental at the moment, isn't it? A bit crazy.
Yes, it certainly is. We offer no opinions, of course. Here is Lascelles to Fernandez. Out to the left-hand side for Jamal Lewis, just inside his own half. Forced back by Armstrong to Fernandez. Now they work it to the near side. Scher. On to Murphy. Quiet so far, Murphy. This time he's giving it back to Scher. Licensed to get forward. That through the lines. Just couldn't quite find Almiron right. Tackle came in by Ward-Prowse, but it's picked up again by Murphy. Runs into 3 red and white shirts, and Walcott's the man that wins it. Romeo, Armstrong in the centre circle, right of centre. Rides one challenge. Almiron getting back at him. He's won that really well as the Paraguayan there. Goes down, and then he went down in stages there, and then decided he was going to hold his right shin.
He's got a little tear in his sock that suggests he just got caught. Does really well to get back at Armstrong. Perfectly timed challenge, yeah. He just gets caught on his ankle by Armstrong.
Yeah, he looked for a moment like he caught his studs in the turf as well as he won that tackle. But I think, as you say, it was the tackle that was what hurt him afterwards, rather than the initial challenge that he had made himself. Fernandez, right-footed from the left of the back three. Forward ball gets a little nod on by Lewis. Can't find Almiron. Southampton have it back. Armstrong, 3 yellow shirts around him. He's won himself the throw right in front of Steve Bruce, who lets the ball drop into his right hand. And will no doubt palm it off to Kyle Walker-Peters, who'll come and take this throw. 25 minutes gone. Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. Shea Adams with the only goal. I have to say, having seen it back, I'm not sure if we did the finish justice. It really was really off the ground, wasn't it? The half volley. Super finish.
The power he got beat Darlow. He just didn't have time to react. It just flew past him.
Walker-Peters takes the throw, gets it back off of the aforementioned goal scorer, and then forced back into his own half. And here is McCarthy. Bednarek up to Armstrong, trying to spin away from Lewis, and he's done well. Found Adams. Adams, high ball towards the near side, and Gineppo skews off the head of Murphy. Gineppo with the second bite at the cherry. Hendrick can nod it away, only as far as Romeo. Ward-Prowse gives it to Gineppo, 30 yards from goal, centre of the field, forced back by Longstaff to Romeo. The Spaniard, who, when he arrived at Southampton, I'm not sure, for quite a long time actually, whether many Saints fans were having him, but my word, he's really the backbone in many ways of the midfield, at least in terms of the defensive work.
Yeah, he's crucial to this team. He just sits there, doesn't he, in front of the back four, and he's always there just to recycle the ball and play simply.
Has got a rare goal this season already, though. As Gineppo comes forward, he might work it onto his left foot and open up here, and I think had he hit it the first time rather than take the extra touch, might have been a better chance. As it was, it hit a teammate and it's away. And here's Stevens to Adams, edge of the area. His shot is blocked and Saint-Maximin comes away, and that is a cynical foul there by Oriol Romeo, and he is right.
That's what he does, but that's what he's there for, to stop those counter-attacks. The attack just fizzled out and fell to Saint-Maximin, and he was going in between Bednarek and Romeo and would have been 1v1 at the back, and that's not where you want Saint-Maximin. And it's a cynical tackle by Romeo, but it's very, very professional, and one that he had to take for his team.
They used to call a professional foul a straight red card. I don't quite know why they don't do so anymore.
He wasn't last man, was he? Certainly.
No.
It was a yellow card without a doubt.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's Scher. Looking for an option forward. Walcott comes to close him down. The Swiss tries the ball up to Wilson, who's a bit isolated so far. Easy header away. Walcott can't bring it under control without taking it out for a throw.
Disappointed to see Theo Walcott in leggings, if you like, tonight.
No, it's pretty cold.
Honestly, I played down at Southampton for 3 years. It's got its own climate. I guarantee you it's at least 2 or 3 degrees warmer than it is anywhere else in the country.
But they do say about these these sprinters, which, let's face it, Walcott is. Yeah, that's the thing. It does protect the hamstring, supposedly. I mean, I am not a sports scientist.
I'm not sure he ever wore those when he was playing as a 17-year-old down at Southampton.
He is 31 now, though. It's a bit different.
He's not that old, is he? Come on.
He's played a lot of football.
He has played. Well, he's missed a lot of football with injuries as well.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Why not protect yourself? Stevens will take this free kick just inside, a yard in from the left-hand touchline, inside his own half. Vestergaard uses the goalkeeper, so Maximan inevitably will chase it down. Like a heavy touch for a moment from Bednarek. I thought he was going to run it straight to Wilson, but that's a lovely flick round the corner by Armstrong to Ward-Prowse. Can he find the pass into Walcott? No, couldn't quite beat Cher, who cut it out. The options are there, aren't they, if they can get the pass right?
Absolutely, if they break through those lines. It was a lovely flick from Armstrong to release Ward-Prowse. He's driving at the defence, but that pass was never really on to Theo Walcott. Fabian Cher positioned himself perfectly to cut it out.
I always think that's probably a slightly easier position to take up when you're in a 3 rather than a 4.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. It's a much harder pass, actually, for Ward-Prowse when it's a 3.
Gineppo to Ward-Prowse into the centre circle for Armstrong, quietly going about his business well this evening. Tries to find Shay Adams. He'll just allow the touch to come in from Lascelles and out of play near side for the throw. Chris Young's been in touch. Beautiful sunset in Enterprise, Mississippi. Looks like he's on the road, and similar to Bo, who's in Alabama on the golf course.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah, that looks like a golf cart he's driving around in, and trees for miles. Thanks for them at Talk Sport Live. Do give us your predictions with your picks. But, what a way to be listening to commentary of Saints leading Newcastle 1-0 out on the golf course. Adams runs the ball out of play, claiming that he was fouled. I think that would have been a bit fortuitous to get the free kick there. And Carl Darlow will take the goal kick over on the far side of his 6-yard box. Just past the half-hour mark. Adams' goal, the difference between the two sides. The goalkeeper's clearance is not great, and Adams will retrieve it, gives it to Walcott, tries to work it to Gineppo. It's a poor pass by Walcott again, and dealt with quite comfortably by Cher. But once more, it's last lines for Newcastle. Murphy over the halfway line. Good run this by Murphy. He's going to try and take on Vestergaard as well. Ward-Prowse getting back at him. Murphy wants the free kick. Ward-Prowse did really well. Great tracking. Doing the job you would expect really of Romeo there. And Southampton live another day.
Yeah, he may have to do a little bit more of that now. Romeo's got the yellow card. Certainly Romeo can't be making those sort of last-ditch challenges. There's brilliant energy from Ward-Prowse to get back in and make the defensive tackle.
Adams comes back to the halfway line and drills it back, and there's Ward-Prowse now for Stevens. Stevens into Gineppo. Ward-Prowse, Romeo. Ward-Prowse to Gineppo. Now here's Stevens joining it. So comfortable on the ball, and Newcastle with no pressure. Ward-Prowse has stopped for about the last 5 seconds with nobody going anywhere near him. I mean, it's almost wasting time in some ways at this stage.
I'm sure Steve Bruce at the moment won't look to really commit, try and chase this game, but because he'll be fairly happy with 1-0. Anything can happen at 1-0, but
I mean, they'd have taken 1-1 before this game, wouldn't they?
Oh, they'll take a draw all day long here, without a doubt. It'd be a very good result for them, but if it does continue to go at 1-0, it'd be interesting to see when Steve Bruce makes that change.
Yeah, Kieran Clark, Matty Longstaff, Andy Carroll, Joe Linton, Isaac Hayden and Javi Manquillo. Outfield bench.
You'd only be looking at Carroll and Joe Linton really, who can come on attacking wise and change the game. Probably Andy Carroll would give you a different dimension.
Yeah, he and Wilson, you feel like there's a potential partnership there, don't you, if they wanted?
A little bit old fashioned. Yeah. Big centre forward, smaller centre forward playing off him.
Well, they're playing against an old fashioned 4-4-2 in some ways, and they're winning balls left, right and centre, Saints, and they're coming through again here. Might find its way to Gineppo, right edge of the 18-yard box. Couple of tricks, too many I think. Has he won a corner? Yes, he has. He's done well. I thought for a second he'd taken it out for a goal kick.
I hated playing against players like Gineppo because I don't think he has a clue what he's going to do himself, and so you cannot read what he's going to do. I think sometimes his feet don't know what he's doing, then he tricks himself sometimes, but he did well there, got to the byline, wins the corner.
I always remember interviewing David Moyes about Seamus Coleman once it became clear he was going to be a regular at Everton. He said, I really like that he was never trained at an academy, because academy players are all taught to do the same things. But actually Coleman probably doesn't really know what he's going to do next, and so how do you defend against that? I assume that's the sort of similar point you're trying to make.
Absolutely. Michael Antonio's another one like that for me.
Ward-Prowse will take this set piece, as he always does for Saints. It's poor by his standards. Combination of Fernandez and Cher managed to get the ball away over on the far side. Disappointing, because any time he's over a dead ball, you're convinced that something might come off. Jimmy G, Newcastle supporter at work in Las Vegas. 3-1 to the tune. Away the lads, he says.
Very optimistic, that.
I say, I'm not sure I'd bet on that in Las Vegas. But all his chips are going on black and white.
They're in yellow today.
Yeah, you know what I mean. I'm trying it.
Yep.
Back with McCarthy, it is for Southampton. To the left for Vestergaard. He's left that one for Stevens. Good that he was ready with that one. I think Walcott leaving that one for Adams. It looked like he came from an offside position to me. The flag went up late as it arrived at Armstrong's feet. Free kick to Newcastle.
He's leading the line so well though, Shay Adams, isn't he? He's always available for balls into his feet. Lovely little flick round the corner. It's just actually really good play between the two centre forwards. Lovely little leave from Walcott, allowed Adams to get in.
There is Murphy fighting down the right hand side. 3 red and white shirts around him for a 4-4-2. They don't often get bodies around this field well, do they? Honestly, it's although they've given it away there pretty poorly on this near side by Theo Walcott. Fortunately, there were enough bodies back, but Romeo's clearance only runs to Cher. Just thought he was going to break through there for a moment. Vestergaard, anywhere will do. Safety first, it's all the way down the other end of the field with Darlow.
They defend in a kind of 4-2-2-2, so they're very narrow. They try and keep the play down one side of the pitch, and they get bodies over that side of the pitch.
Armstrong wins it high up the field, or fairly high up anyway, and here's Walcott just over the halfway line, centre of the field. Moves it left for Gineppo. Newcastle getting bodies behind the ball once again. Only Wilson ahead of it. And now with Southampton coming back to Vestergaard, even he makes up 11 behind the ball. Here's Romeo. Might have gone away from him there, but the foul from Longstaff.
Possibly a little bit generous, actually.
Yeah, I did think that. Sean Longstaff on his 50th Newcastle appearance today. Giving away that free kick. Has he developed, has either of them developed in the way that they would have hoped? Do you think he was heavily linked with Man United, wasn't he, Sean Longstaff, for a while?
He reminds me a little bit of Scott McTominay in the way he looks and the way he plays. I think McTominay's a better player. I think they really think that his brother's going to be better than Sean.
Yeah. He's back on the bench today as Ward-Prowse comes forward into Walcott inside left. Walcott tries to float one into Ward-Prowse, who'd continued his run. Half cleared by Newcastle, clearance completed by Almiron. It'll be chased by, semi-chased by Wilson. He was never going to get anywhere near that one. Vestergaard nods it back to McCarthy, and it remains 1-0 to Southampton. Chris Perry and Toby Gillis, full 90-minute commentary of this one. Loads more action to come over the course of the weekend. That, of course, includes Manchester City Liverpool on Sunday. Tom Rennie bringing you commentary of that one with Paul Parker. Back it goes by Vestergaard to McCarthy again. Just comfortable on the ball are Saints. There's Gineppo now. Little step over into the centre circle. That's poorly given away. Nodded down by Fernandez. Then Hendrick moves it on to the right hand side. They've worked it up to Alan Saint-Maximin. Found Longstaff, but it was such a difficult place to be because there were so many red and white shirts around him, and his first touch got us away. And here comes Saints again. It's Walker-Peters moving in from the right into the centre circle, left to Gineppo. Stevens gives him it back.
Gineppo would be the one player, really, if I'm Ralph Hasenhüttl, that I'd be considering whether I keep him on the pitch or not. When you think they've got Nathan Redmond on the bench, who I think will be a lot more reliable in that sort of role than Gineppo, I just think he may end up costing them. Comes inside, gives the ball away cheaply on a number of occasions.
6.5 to play of this first 45 minutes. Southampton leading Newcastle by Che Adams' 7th minute goal to 0. Romeo around the corner. Adams realised he was offside there. Walcott will chase. It's going to get shepherded behind quite comfortably by Fernandez. Goal kick.
Well, that just gives you an idea of what Ralph Hasenhüttl demands from his players, because Theo Walcott knew he was never going to get anywhere near that ball, but he ran in there because I think he knows that the manager wants him to chase everything.
He was renowned in Germany as a coach that demanded work from his players no matter what. Complex tactical systems as well. As Chris has mentioned, on paper it looks like 4-4-2, but in various phases of play, players are all over the place in different positions, and they know exactly where to be. Told in training there were times where he would stop a player and stop the entire action and then pull a player about 10 inches away from where he was standing and say, you're supposed to be here.
I've heard Bielsa's very similar in that respect.
Yeah.
Detail.
It's mad, isn't it? Because when you're not a player, you can't imagine how 10 inches left or right might make a difference, but that's why they're at the very, very top of their game.
Absolutely.
I wonder whether, in some ways, with these sort of, these tactical coaches, they call them laptop coaches, some of them in Germany as well, don't they? Whether you almost have to be a bit more of an intelligent footballer nowadays.
I think majority of footballers now are. You don't get to the top of the game unless you're pretty intelligent. Yeah. There's not many that aren't playing in the Premier League and that sort of level.
Yeah, there was a stereotype for many years, wasn't there, about footballers that, a little bit thick, a bit uneducated. It certainly wouldn't be the case nowadays. No offence, Chris. It was only a stereotype.
I thought you were counting me in the intelligent
you're
ones.
One
Absolutely,
of the I was just saying you were also a footballer.
Oh, absolutely.
I was not necessarily including you in that lot. It's with Armstrong. Couldn't quite bypass Cher there. Back it goes to Darlow. Booms that one away. It's a long time ago that Darlow and Lascelles joined in a sort of double deal from Nottingham Forest. There was high hopes for Darlow. Never quite became number one on a regular basis.
He's done well this season, hasn't he?
Yes,
in place of Dubravka, and you wonder whether Dubravka will get back in.
McCarthy moves it right for Bednarek. Ball away. Straight up Fernandez though. Shapes to come backwards, but he's given the ball away to Walker-Peters, and there's just a few times where you felt a quick break from Southampton and they'd be really on it. Although Gineppo with a lovely ball to Walcott, in behind, turns the defender and bends it past the post. That's a huge opportunity for Theo Walcott. He's replaced Danny Ings up front today. Ings would have scored that. Walcott's put it wide. It's still 1-0 Saints.
Yeah, but it's brilliant, isn't it? They're closing down initially to win it back. James Ward-Prowse plays it into Gineppo. First time ball, little flick round the corner, Cruyff flick through the legs of Cher. Completely opens up this Newcastle defence. Walcott just takes the touch. Inside Lascelles, onto his right foot, looks to bend it low and hard into the bottom right-hand corner. And just puts it inches wide of the post. Really should be scoring there.
Just seen a magnificent reverse angle from behind the goal where you could see right up the pitch, and 3 Saints players fell to their knees with their heads in their hands when that didn't go in. And that's what I said about before the game. Exactly what I was about to say. We're talking about when Ings isn't there, you're thinking, right, we need to ensure we don't concede goals.
A second goal now going in at half-time, 2-0. The defenders come out, they're comfortable. We've got a little cushion here. Now they know throughout this game, one mistake and it could cost them.
Yeah, that is a huge blow, although Walcott's been gifted the ball here by Lewis. Steps away from the defender, Fernandez, who's brought him down. That's a yellow card for Federico Fernandez. Tried desperately to keep his feet there, Walcott. He knew that if he did, he'd be through, but he couldn't quite do so there.
Once again, Newcastle getting caught in possession, taking too many touches, taking too many chances, playing out from the back. Southampton press far too well for that. Newcastle players aren't good enough to do that, and that's certainly something Steve Bruce needs to change. They've got caught 4 or 5 times now in their own half of the pitch on the ball.
So 2 players on bookings now, Romeo and Fernandez, one on each side. And this is a dangerous position for Ward-Prowse. He won't go for goal, it is wide on the right.
Well, this is one to whip straight across that 6-yard box and see if the likes of Bednarek, Stevens and Vestergaard, 3 towering men, could get their head on the end of it.
About 21, 22 yards away from the byline and just a shade further right than the edge of the 18-yard box. There's Ward-Prowse. It's not the best, actually. It went over everybody in red and white, was punched away by Darlow. Picked up on this near side, the left by Walcott. Now Romeo comes back into the centre circle for Walker-Peters. Run by Ward-Prowse. Oh, it was a Hollywood pass if that had come off, and he's put it behind.
It was almost impossible pass that he tried there, Carl Walker-Peters.
It is Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. We're into the final minute of normal time at the end of the first half. And, well, Steve Bruce has got a job on his hands because they've offered very, very little, really. Newcastle, as Adams willingly chases this one, and Scher is under the pressure of being caught there.
Oh, that's cheap.
Yeah, he went down softly. Adams screams at referee Peter Banks in disappointment, and that's been given against him.
I think this is really, really cheap. Ball over the top from Romeo. Scher is there. Just dwells on it again, trying to take a chance. I don't think that's a foul. I think he's just slipped. Yeah, he just slipped and lost. There's no foul there at all. No, he's got to be stronger. That should be play on, and it should be Shay Adams just squaring it for Theo Walcott for a tap-in. Got away with absolute murder there, Fabian Scher.
Very, very fortuitous. 1 minute of stoppage time. Newcastle coming forward with Murphy. It's away from Gineppo, does it? It's come off of Gineppo. Murphy will take the throw, level with the penalty box. Bednarek is down at the moment. I think he's going to be okay, the pole. Pick himself up. Yeah, jumps to his feet.
Did he just take a knock on the head again? Yeah, he did. Little clash of heads with Callum Wilson. That'll be a worry after taking the knock last week as well.
Yeah. And he's just doubled over a little bit at the moment. And he's having words with Peter Banks. Southampton laughing all the way to the bank at half-time so far, but it could be better than 1-0. As Scher readies one of these long throws into the box. Taking much of a run-up, maybe he'll just drop it short. That's exactly what he's done. Into Longstaff, and that is the last action of the first half. I have to say, I thought there was more stoppage time than that to be added on after the check on Bednarek, but the referee has determined time is up, and it's a brilliant goal that's the difference between the two sides. Shay Adams' first time from Walcott's delivery. Walcott really should have made it 2-0, but Newcastle are still in this while it remains only Southampton 1, Newcastle 0. You're listening to Premier League Live.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio.
Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale. Weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big-name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Raven. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
And
In the spring of the year 2020 AD, a deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talks Sportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19, because what you do today will echo in eternity.
Talk Sport Legion. Assume tortoise formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet, centurions. Together, Legion, Talk Sportus can defeat it.
Talk Sportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on, stay informed, and give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of Talk Sport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of Talk Sport.
For all the latest news, opinions and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online, via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
Half-time in the Premier League, the second game of match day 8 in the Premier League. And Southampton, well, they're ahead, but Newcastle still very much in it. Walcott to Adams, and this time he does make no mistake. 7 on the clock. Southampton take the lead. Great centre-forwards play to pressure. Almiron with the mistake. Walcott with the pass. Shea Adams with the instinctive finish. First time into the top corners.
Catches it brilliantly. Rifles past Carl Darlow, who just doesn't have time to react. Brilliant finish from Adam Lewis.
Bit more time to get the cross in. Gets a bit more height on it. Longstaff with the header. That's a decent effort, that. It needed to be either side of the keeper, though. Comfortable save for Alex McCarthy.
Vestergaard there at 6'6" or wherever he is should be heading this away. He gets underneath it and misses it completely. Longstaff times his run perfectly. Gets a powerful header on it. Just has to place it a yard either side of McCarthy and he'd have scored.
So it remains Southampton 1, Newcastle 0 at half-time. Chris Perry alongside me, Toby Gillis for this one. It's difficult, isn't it, for Steve Bruce, because, as you say, while it's 1-0, you always think there's a chance, and yet the chances aren't really coming.
Yeah, I think obviously their best chance was that Sean Longstaff header we just heard on the highlights there, but they've created nothing else in open play at all. And they really aren't set up to do that. They're set up to soak up pressure and try and hit teams on the counter-attack. And Southampton aren't really playing that way. They're kind of pressing high up the pitch, forcing Newcastle to play out from the back and forcing mistakes and winning the ball so high up the pitch that actually Newcastle aren't able to play like they want to.
So how do they change that then? Is it personnel?
For me, it's personnel. They don't have an awful lot of options on the bench. It's personnel. It's the system. I think you could match. You could pretty much match Southampton up, go to a 4-4-2, and I think they cause them a lot more problems. I'm just not sure how attacking minded Steve Bruce as a manager is.
But could it also be then, rather than the system, an attitude? Why can't the players say to themselves, you know, we need to be 10 yards higher up the pitch or whatever in order to take this game to Saints?
I think they're so indoctrined into playing this defensive style of football, sitting back, being hard to beat, trying to keep clean sheets and trying to stop other teams playing, rather than actually saying we need to take the game to the opposition now.
Very, very difficult situation for Newcastle to be in. We wait to find out if there are changes, if they can find their way back into this one. 1-0 down at Southampton. Now, earlier on, we brought you, I can't say anything other than a pretty awful game, if we're honest, between Brighton and Burnley. We can hear from the two managers now. It did finish scoreless. Sean Dyche and Graham Potter.
Disappointed to just get a point. I thought the performance was really, really good. I thought the spirit, the effort, the attitude, the intent was there. We had some chances, I think, to score, but it wasn't to be. That's how it is sometimes in football, but we restricted the opponent to not too much either. So overall, have to be positive with the performance, and we need to keep that going, try to improve, and hopefully that turns into 3 points.
Well, I think it's part of the rebuilding sort of the mentality and the performance levels. I think throughout the last 4 have at least performed. Didn't get anything against Tottenham, who are a good side, and I thought we deserved more. Point at West Brom, probably a winning draw, as I call it, and tonight we've had to settle for a draw. We've had to work very hard for a draw as well. Decent outfit, Brighton, we knew that, but I thought a lot of our defensive work was very good tonight. We've still got to make more chances and better quality of chance, but it is difficult in the Premier League away from home, so we will take the point today and we'll build on that.
If you can't threaten what Sean Dyche called a decent outfit, Chris, how are Burnley going to get wins against better than decent teams that they face coming forward?
It's a dilemma. I think Burnley have a way of playing that's worked for them really, really well, and the way that they win games is by scoring the first goal, and if they concede the first goal, they're a team that's going to find real problems, a bit like Newcastle really, and they're having those problems at the moment because they're conceding goals. He'll be happy with a clean sheet, but they just don't look like they have any attacking threat.
No, absolute trouble, you would think, for them. What about Manchester United? Let's hear from Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. So much pressure on him, an awful defeat in the Champions League. They play Everton tomorrow. It's the first game of the day. Suggestions he could be sacked if he loses that one.
I became a man at Manchester United, and I've learned how to deal with good and bad times. So there's always you're a top coach or a manager when you win, and you're bad when you lose, because that's the last game you played, and you're not really better than your last game. But it's history. Football. Every game of football becomes history quickly, and we've just got to go into Goodison Park in a positive frame of mind.
Chris, if you believe the Manchester Evening News, which is a very well connected newspaper in Manchester, then United have already contacted Maurizio Pochettino about the possibility of replacing Ole Gunnar Solskjaer. He's not gone yet. If they lose to Everton, what do we think? Is that curtains?
It could be. Yeah, it could be. With the international break coming up, I think teams like to make changes now during the international break. It just gives the new manager a little bit more time to settle in, and I could see it happening. I mean, their form's been terrible in the league, certainly, and if they were to lose to Everton, and it's certainly not unforeseeable, Everton have had a good start to the season, then the pressure is certainly going to mount, and someone like Pochettino is the sexy appointment, if you like.
It's difficult for the board, isn't it? Because Pochettino, alright, he's not won things, but he's proven in the Premier League at the very least, I think it's fair to say. And this is the sort of time where jobs might become available that might appeal to Pochettino. So it's a bit like, if you wait any longer, who else is there? And so I just wonder whether the attraction is just that he's available.
Yeah, he's available, I think, is definitely an attraction. The fact that you haven't got to pay any compensation for him. I think Brendan Rodgers would be in the running for a job the size of Manchester.
Failed Liverpool manager.
But he's probably one of the best ones out there. You're looking at Pochettino, you're looking at Brendan Rodgers as probably the two best candidates out there. Now, you'd have to pay a lot of money, I'd imagine, to prize Brendan Rodgers away from Leicester, because he's under contract there, whereas Pochettino, on the other hand, is a free agent.
Yeah, well, we wait to find out what happens with United. We also wait to find out what happens at St Mary's. Southampton leading Newcastle 1-0. Second half to come on Premier League Live.
Talk Sport. Impress lost tribespeople of the Andes by demonstrating the new updated Talk Sport app. Listen live, listen again, and listen good, Buster. Download the app at talksport.com now. The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Hello, I'm Andy Goldstein, and of course you can hear me on the Sports Bar with Jason Cundy. We'll be taking all your calls, text, tweets and emails on all the big talking points from the weekend's football. And remember, we bring you the very first look at the next day's back page headlines every single night.
The Sports Bar, weeknights from 10 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Catch up and listen up without having to cough up. It's free. Go to talksport.com and download the app today. Or don't. Your choice entirely.
Hello, Jim White here. Now, if you're wondering about all the background hullabaloo, I'm helping out as lifeguard at the brand new Talk Sport swimming pool. Goff! No running there, boy! But never mind that. Join me tomorrow morning from 10, when I'll be up to my neck in the warm, chlorinated waters of the day's biggest sports stories. Come plunge with me, Jim White, straight in at the deep end of the action.
Weekday mornings from 10 on Talk Sport.
Driving home with Darren Goff and Doug, a sporting legend and an angry sports journalist who'll pick a fight with anyone.
Just really winds me up. Absolutely unbelievable.
To say I'm angry is an understatement.
Adrian Durham, what an absolute clown.
Dynamic, double strength, drive time radio.
Shall I stay?
I don't like listening to him, I'll turn off.
Do you want me to stay?
Adrian Durham and Darren Goff.
He's an idiot.
Right, hands up, who wants me to stay?
Drive time radio.
I don't have to.
Weekdays from 4, only on Talk Sport.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs on Sport. Talk Sport. It's the double O duo on the radio show that's like a collapsible bridge over a shark-infested pool of big names, sporting headlines, and topical debate. Join Paul Alligator Hopscotch Hawksbee and Andy Oddjob Jacobs, flying the plane of sporting entertainment out of the horse's bum of conventional radio.
Have we got Pussy Galore on the show, Andy?
No, Paul, but we've got Todd Macklin's American Sports Roundup. Will that do?
Not really, Andy, no.
Hawksbee and Jacobs, shaken but not stirred. Weekday afternoons from 1 on Talk Sport.
Talk Sport.
Talk Sport. Confuse bookmakers, impress football agents and entertain the kids with the improved Talk Sport app. Totally fun, totally free, totally football. Download it now from talksport.com. Hey, kids, take my mobile and go over there and play or something. Don't press the button that says Tinder. Talk Sport.
You are listening to TalkSport's coverage of Southampton against Newcastle from St Mary's. I'm your match commentator this evening, Toby Gillis. Welcome along wherever you are around the world. Alongside me, former Southampton defender Chris Perry. You are listening to Premier League Live. Doesn't look like there are any changes at the midway point. Saints 1, Newcastle 0. Shea Adams with the only goal of the game. It'll be Southampton to get us underway for the second half. Chris, I'm absolutely convinced, I've seen it several times now, that I did not do Shea Adams' finish anywhere near the justice it deserved in commentary. It was off the ground, on the half volley, and he side-footed it with so much power. The timing of that is incredibly difficult.
It is. It was perfect contact, and the fact that he side-footed it just meant that he gave himself much more control of where it went. And it was literally past Carl Darlow before he could react.
Closed down Wilson on Bednarek from his first time clearance there, but unfortunately for Wilson it's ran towards the near side for a throw in. Let's quickly run you through the two teams. McCarthy is in goal for Southampton, Walker, Peters, Bednarek, Vestergaard and Stevens, Armstrong, Romeo, Ward, Prowse and Gineppo, and then Walcott and Adams. Darlow's the keeper for Newcastle. Back three, Cher, Lascelles, Fernandez, then Murphy, Longstaff, Hendrick, Almiron and Lewis, and Saint-Maximin supporting Wilson up top. Bednarek has it at the back for Southampton. Shea Adams' goal coming in the 7th minute of the game. They've definitely had the better chance since, when Walcott bent one wide, really should have scored. You might argue that Sean Longstaff could have scored with his headed chance on 22 from a Lewis cross, but he's diverted it straight at the goalkeeper. Southampton coming forward with Gineppo left-hand side, continues his run, tries to get the give and go with Armstrong, who's actually adjudged to have given away the free kick himself, the Scot. And it's a free kick over on the far side for Newcastle. who will simply do the same thing again, I would have thought. Chris, without too much change, just knowing that at some point, possibly off the bench, Bruce will make a change.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how far Steve Bruce goes into this game before he thinks about making a change, whether that's of shape or personnel. I think he's a very defensive-minded manager, and I think he'll leave it certainly until maybe 65, 70 minutes.
Wilson chasing a ball down the right-hand side that's hooked into touch by Vestergaard. Dane, who's going to allow Cher to take this throw in with the red poppy right in the centre of his chest, as all the Newcastle players have, punctuating all the yellow kit that they're wearing. From the right hand side, Lascelles' delivery in is cleared away by Ward-Prowse, and here's Che Adams on halfway on the left hand side, drills the ball into the centre of the field for Armstrong, can't return the favour. Easy one for Lewis, for Newcastle I should say, and it's out to Lewis on the left hand side.
He should have made more of that. Stuart Armstrong just needed to be a little bit more patient and wait for Kyle Walker-Peters to get up in support on his right hand side.
It's with Hendrick. Quiet today has Hendrick been. I thought for a moment he was giving that straight to Adams, but Sean Longstaff emerged from nowhere and picked it up. And the clearance by Darlow is dropped onto the foot of Kyle Walker-Peters. Was desperate to get out of Tottenham in the summer to come back to the team he was on loan at last year. Finally got his move.
Yeah, you get a taste of Premier League football when you want it, and he just felt that at Tottenham he wasn't going to get the opportunity.
Decent right back.
It's okay, good young prospect, needs to improve his defending. Very good going forward.
23 years of age, as Theo Walcott goes forward. Oh goodness me, tried the shot, took a deflection, and for just a split second I thought Carl Darlow was going to watch that one drop across his left shoulder and into the net, but it's gone wide and it's a corner off of Fernandez.
Yeah, I thought they allowed Theo Walcott to travel far too far there. He got almost into the 18-yard box before anyone even came towards him and made any attempt to block the shot, and it came off of Fernandez. Corner to Southampton. James Ward-Prowse will be hoping for better deliveries than he produced in the first half.
This will be an out-swinging delivery from the Southampton right, the near side as we watch. Walcott lurks in front of the keeper. Almiron's come to mark him. Che Adams is being marked by Lewis, also inside the 6-yard box. That's a better delivery. Still got headed away by Newcastle. Back in it goes by Romeo, and it'll be chased to the far side by Lewis. He can't quite keep it in, so that's going to be another corner to Southampton over on the far side.
Yeah, it was a good delivery, wasn't it? Into the middle of the heart of Newcastle's 18-yard box, but no Southampton player was attacking it.
There's so much potential in this Southampton team for goals from set pieces, isn't there? You've got to think with the height they've got. Vestergaard towers over everybody at 6'6".
They probably should score more goals from set pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. Here's the ball in. It's towards Vestergaard. Oh goodness me, the keeper missed it, and then it came to Bednarek, and it was headed off the goal line. I think by Lascelles.
Vestergaard has to score. It's a free header at the back post with no goalkeeper. He just has to hit the target, and he gets it off the side of his head. It's a really poor header.
Southampton looking to win the ball high up the field again. They do to Romeo. Oh my word! I think the keeper got a hand to it and put it onto the bar. Romeo thought he had scored probably the goal of his career for the defensive midfielder. Took a touch to set himself, looked up, fired towards goal. Now does the keeper get fingertips to it?
I think he does. I think he makes a brilliant save here. Just gets a finger on it and forces it onto the crossbar. What a strike from Romeo. He must have thought that he'd scored.
That is a sensational save by Darlow, who really redeemed himself for gifting Vestergaard the chance a few moments before. Here comes the corner again then. Up rather than away by Cher. Lascelles fighting for it, might drop for Stevens in the box. He's forced out wide to Gineppo, drives to the byline, and we've seen that from him once or twice this evening. Takes it over the byline.
Must be so frustrating to coach Moussa Gineppo. So much talent. This is the first chance for Vestergaard coming up on our replays now.
He ran past it, Vestergaard.
He should head that towards goal. He just misjudges it.
Talking of misjudging, what do you think about Darlow's efforts?
Yeah. It's not great. Goalkeepers make those decisions, don't they, to come, and when you make that decision and you make that call, you know the defenders are going to leave it, and so you have to get something on the ball, and he didn't there, and he was very fortunate to get away with it.
Here comes Walker Peters. Somehow has managed to make a slaloming run through a number of bodies until he was brought down. Referee just waited for a moment to check that the advantage wasn't on. It didn't come to anything. Free kick to Southampton.
I wonder whether Southampton, very much on top, have had a few chances where you felt that they should have certainly got the second goal, whether they may pay for that later on.
Vestergaard in the centre circle. Moves it right for Ward-Prowse. Back by Walker Peters to Bednarek.
There's absolutely no effort from Newcastle to come out and put the Southampton back four under any sort of pressure on the ball, really.
And it's bizarre that you've got, they've got some really talented attacking players, haven't they? The three of Almiron, Wilson and Alan Saint-Maximin must find it very frustrating playing in a team like this.
I think Almiron particularly, I mean, you think of him last season, the energy, winning the ball back. He wants to go and hunt people down and try and win the ball back high up the pitch, and I think Saint-Maximin will be much better in that sort of team where he can then get the ball in space and be driving at defenders. At the moment, he's not getting any service whatsoever.
Very, very frustrating. And frustrating as a neutral watching it, I've got to be honest. Here's Stevens coming forward, that's poor. Couldn't find Armstrong. Stepping out of defence is Cher. Cher works it up to Wilson on the far side. Vestergaard takes it off of him. Wilson wanted a free kick. He wasn't going to get that one. 8 minutes gone in this second half. Southampton should be at least 2 up on the balance of this game, possibly 3 or 4 in truth, but they've been profligate in front of goal. At TalkSport Live, if you want to get in touch with us, if you're listening in around the world, tell us your thoughts. Will Southampton live to regret the misses? Adams finds the ball up to Armstrong. He's got to be offside. They won't put it up the flag until the shot comes in, and then of course they do it late. He was several yards offside, I would have thought.
Quite comfortably offside. Surely the official can put his flag up there. I mean, it's so clear.
Yeah, honestly. And he's looking right along the line. He's looking along the defensive line.
He knows as well. He knows he's offside.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. He sort of hesitated. It was an alright save, to be fair, by Darlow. But yeah, I mean, this rule, I understand it to a point, but it's got to be marginal, surely.
It just frustrates me that actually sometimes when the players are offside, it's near the halfway line, and by the time the official puts his flag up, you're getting a free kick on the edge of your own 18-yard box where you should be 20, 30 yards higher up the pitch.
Ward-Prowse stabs it through towards Walcott, and he got that one wrong. Behind it goes for a goal kick. Southampton still 1-0 up on Newcastle. Nearly 10 gone in this second half. It's one of those, isn't it? Because we're sitting here and, we're almost being critical of Steve Bruce the way he sets up, but if they emerge with a point, then he's job done. It's difficult because we're football fans and we want to watch entertaining performances, but they are cautious. Is probably a nice way of putting it.
It's a kind way of putting it, yeah.
Wiley Post has been in touch, listening whilst on a run with Vera the dog in Houston, Texas. And Vera the dog
she's winning
with a lovely red lead. Very nice. We've got a lot of people listening in the States at the moment. I'm sure they're all on tenterhooks about one contest, and if we're honest, it's probably not this one, but we're doing our best for you. Here's Vestergaard to Ward-Prowse. Back it comes to Bednarek. Saint-Maximin goes hunting, so he moves it on quickly to Walker Peters.
I think we just saw the stats there. 12 shots on goal Southampton have had compared to Newcastle's 2.
Newcastle have had, I think Adams will be offside here as well by some distance. Moves it across to the far side for Gineppo. They do continue to play. Gineppo on the left hand side attacks, one step over. and then drives towards the byline. Have they got a corner?
See, it begs the question.
Why have they given a corner?
Had they scored a goal there, it would have gone back and probably gone and given Shay Adams offside. But now they could score from the corner and it could be given. Because he's not. He's onside, you know.
You're absolutely right, yes.
Yep.
He is.
It's Fabian Schär playing him onside.
Yeah. Yeah, we shouldn't be too critical of these assistants. They're certainly better than me. And he's got that one spot on. Poor from Schär, frankly, to not have held the line with the rest of them. Corner then that Ward-Prowse will take, the 5th of the game for Southampton. 3 Saints players within about 2 yards of the goal line, deep towards Vestergaard again. Looked for a second like he might have been being held there. He'll chase out to the far side, to the near side, and pick up Vestergaard. What's his crossing like? Not great. Easily away by Lascelles. Romeo picks up. Walker-Peters will quickly get it back to the goalkeeper.
He just wants to reset the shape there, Walker-Peters, so plays it back to the goalkeeper.
Here's a question for you. Now, this I suggested to our producer before the game that you might be the worst person to ask this to, because I know how much prep you do, and you'll probably know the answer. Do you have any idea which player has the highest individual expected goals in the Premier League this season?
No, I don't. No, I don't ever look at expected goals. That's probably one stat, because I don't get. I just don't understand it. I don't buy it. It's not a goal.
No.
Expected goal. I don't get it. Unless it's a goal, it's a goal.
Well, the reason I find this interesting is because it's Callum Wilson.
Okay.
Whose expected goals are 6.27. He has got 6. He's only had 10 shots on target in the entire season, and Newcastle have had fewer shots on target.
Yeah, he only got 5 goals in 30
League.
appearances for Bournemouth last season.
So he is sticking away his chances as they've come, and the quality of chance almost matched by his finishing. And I just thought that was quite interesting, because Newcastle are so defensive, and that possibly tells you almost how much of an overachiever
he is.
Callum Wilson has been this season, yeah. And I do appreciate a lot of people don't like the expected goals, but I thought that specific one was interesting. Personally, I quite like it when it's in conjunction with other things.
I really understand how they come up with the stat, because if you're looking at me for expected goals, I'm thinking Salah, I'm thinking Kane.
Yeah, absolutely. Kane is quite high up.
Yeah, I'd imagine, yeah.
But yeah, it's one of those. It's about the quality of opportunity, and it's based on analysing tens of thousands of chances.
Well, I think Steve Bruce did say he's had 3 tap-ins this season, hasn't he? So maybe
well, they would be high up.
They'd be high because you're expected to score from those sort of distances, aren't they?
Yeah, and it's based on how many chances have been taken, from that position with the ball in from whichever angle and all of that stuff. It's very, very scientifically done. You may or may not like it. But I just thought that specific one was quite interesting, given the way that Newcastle play. And they are 1-0 down here. You've not really missed anything. Southampton have just been passing it about under absolutely no pressure. That's a nice ball through the lines there by Vestergaard to find Ward-Prowse. Will drive at the Newcastle defence. Turn it left for Gineppo. Gineppo goes down. No foul.
Got to shoot
by Murphy.
Brilliant pass from Vestergaard to split open the lines of Newcastle. James Ward-Prowse carries the ball towards the penalty area. Jacob Murphy looks worried here that this is a penalty. Slides it to his left-hand side for Gineppo, whose first touch. Sets himself to shoot. Tries to come inside Jacob Murphy. There's a coming together. Does he dangle his leg? It's a penalty for me.
Yeah, I think he... unless the referee just thinks
it's a penalty.
He's just run into him.
No, I think it's a penalty.
And in the meantime, there is a change being made, and it's Matty Longstaff, who has been a long time in coming for Newcastle.
That has to be a penalty. He's made an attempt, he's stuck his leg out, the player's gone down. It's a penalty all day long.
Well, not according to our referee, or indeed the video referee, I should say, Chris Kavanagh today. They will have had a look. They always do in that situation.
I think they just go with what the referee... Most of the time they just go with what the referee on the field gives. They don't want to overturn what the referee gives. I think they should have allowed the referee to go and have a look at it, because it's very difficult when you see it at full pace.
Well, they could have done, of course. They're allowed to nowadays. Not quite like last season. Murphy, as you said, looked...
He knew.
Guilty, frankly.
He did. Yeah, absolutely. And he was guilty. It's for anywhere else on the pitch, it's a free kick.
No penalty given though. Longstaff, by the way, it's good to see him back.
Yeah.
July 15th, his last appearance for Newcastle. Has had a thigh problem. His team are defending at the moment though, and there's Armstrong into the middle for Walcott. Needed the sliding challenge there from Cher, who's slid it behind for the corner.
Newcastle are hanging on here, aren't they? Southampton are starting to really cut them open now. You just feel that they need that second goal just to give them breathing space. Good ball from Ward-Prowse to release Armstrong down the right. Tries to fire it in early to the run of Theo Walcott, but cut out by Fabian Cher.
Matty Longstaff's Newcastle story is an interesting one because I'm pretty sure he wouldn't have been a Newcastle player this season had Watford remained in the Premier League. Suggestion that he had signed a contract near enough with them that just depended on them being in the top flight.
It didn't quite work out, did it?
Didn't work out,
nope.
And he has ended up staying in a new 2-year deal as Ward-Prowse delivers in, and that's a good header by Bednarek, and it was shoveled away by the goalkeeper and then hooked towards the near side. Ward-Prowse fighting Sam Maximin for it, and that's brilliant work by the Frenchman actually, who's got away there, although he's lost out in the challenge. Armstrong's ball into the box should be away now by a combination of Longstaff and Lewis, and they found Sam Maximin, and his high ball up over to the far side for Wilson. Needs to bring it down well, couldn't take it away from Stevens, and now Wilson is having to track back because Che Adams is coming forward, left hand side of the 18-yard box, turns back, gets it infield to Gineppo, and Almiron is back to help out here, and they should be able to get this clear, and they have done.
That's a good save, wasn't it? From
really
the header,
save, yeah.
From Darlow. I think he was fortunate, it was quite close to him, but it was well met by Bednarek at the near post, just tried to glance it towards the far post. Good reactions from Darlow. Another opportunity for Southampton goes astray though.
It was rather at Darlow, but he had to get his hands up quickly, and he's pushed that one away. Marshall Voigt has been in touch, cheering on Miggy. I'm assuming that's Miguel Almiron, and Newcastle from the low country of South Carolina. Lovely looking sunset beginning to occur there, and nice to have Joe Ely listening on as well, enjoying a pair of Premier League matches. Obviously listened earlier on whilst at work. A quiet Friday afternoon. Indiana, USA. He says hang on Southampton. He's wearing a red shirt. Don't know if that's a symbol of who you support, Joe. You're doing well if you enjoyed the one earlier, I have to say. My word.
That's a foul.
Theo Walcott goes to ground, nothing given. Here comes Lewis, gives it to Sam Maximin, still inside their own half though in Newcastle. Sean Longstaff out towards the right hand side to Murphy up against Gineppo, and he's brought down Murphy and waves towards Peter Banks, no foul.
Yeah,
and
it was actually a pretty good attempt at a tackle, won the ball, cannoned off of Murphy, throw into Southampton.
And it'll be taken over on the far side by Stevens. Done all right, left back, hasn't he, Stevens?
He hasn't been tested at
all,
though. They don't have a winger, do they? They play with wing backs. Jacob Murphy hasn't got high enough up the pitch to test him, and Newcastle haven't been good enough to get the ball high enough up the pitch to test him.
He's cleared the ball there against Matty Longstaff. It'll pounce away. Matty Longstaff, who announced himself in the Newcastle team with a debut winning goal against Manchester United all that time ago now. Feels like a long time ago. It was only mid-part of last season. Got another one against them back in December.
Yeah, I think you can sense how highly rated he is at the club by the fact that he's been given the number 4 and his brother's got 36 on the back of his shirt.
Yeah. He's the younger of the two, Matty, 20 years of age. Hasn't started a game since February, so he'll be hoping to get fit and ready and firing. Always must be difficult as a, hometown club and all of that, but I think he did want to move. I don't think there's much doubt about that. So quite why it all changed and why there weren't other clubs in for him, interestingly. But Newcastle, I think
it's difficult. He's a young player that Newcastle will know a lot about. I think he wanted to. He obviously didn't think he was getting the opportunities he felt he deserved.
Well, he wasn't, was he?
Yeah.
It was quite simple. He was not a regular,
and potentially he wasn't maybe on the wages that he thought he should be on.
I mean, the move to Watford would have been a strange one in some ways because they really are well stocked in midfield, very well stocked.
Well, they knew they were losing Doucouré potentially, didn't they? So
yes, but I mean, you think of some of the other players that even still now that they've got Capoue and Hughes and
Cleverly.
Yeah, absolutely. Not to mention Chalobah, who was an England cap not that long ago. So I'm not 100% sure he got in that team either, but who knows? Who knows what the plans were? Here's Saint-Maximin for Newcastle from the ball by Matty Longstaff. He'll slip in Almiron high up the field on the left-hand side. Just outside of him is Lewis. About the first time Newcastle had control in the final third in this second half. Saint-Maximin turns away from Romeo. Option is Lewis on the left-hand side. Little shimmy. Back to Saint-Maximin now. 3 red shirts around him, and he's played the ball off of... I think he tried to play it off a Southampton player, but it's... Walker Peters wasn't sure, was he? Chased it, and then he thought, I'm just going to leave this one. I think it's a goal kick, and he's absolutely right. Decision goes Southampton's way. So Maximin looks a bit puzzled. I think we're all a bit puzzled by this performance. 1-0 Southampton. We are bang on the midpoint of the second half. And it's a goal kick to Southampton. Alex McCarthy's been a spectator for 95% of this game.
Surely Steve Bruce at some stage here has to think we've got to try something different. We've got to get Andy Carroll on the pitch, maybe go a little bit more direct. Try and cause Southampton some problems.
Right, Southampton going direct on that goal kick themselves. Hooked around the corner there by Murphy.
And there's a ball that Carroll would have thrived on.
Yeah. Carroll against Vestergaard would be a fascinating battle.
My money would be on Andy Carroll all day long.
Absolutely, yeah. If he's fit, he's a battering ram.
If he's fit, he's almost unplayable at times.
Ball in by Saint-Maximin to Wilson, but his first touch was poor. He's brought down by Romeo. Might continue this attack anyway. The referee's allowed it to play on. Matty Longstaff has moved it to the right for Murphy. Can he take on Stevens and get a cross in? He does. Hang that one up towards Wilson. Up rather than away by Bednarek. Got it to the edge of the box. I think there's a couple of handballs in there, and the referee just decided to let it play on. Oh my word.
I think the first one's from Longstaff, isn't it? Not Armstrong.
I have to say, it sort of got caught between both of their arms, and the referee just thought, oh, well, as long as this goes away, I won't give it. But he's... Oh, I don't know. I think he's absolutely right, you know.
He come off his back, did it? Back of his shoulder almost.
And then Armstrong, it almost rolled down his arm.
He was almost doing the old skill there, wasn't he? The old basketball skill.
Yes, absolutely right. He needed to roll it the other way. It would have gone over his neck and down the other side. But much more importantly, this is a huge chance you would feel for Newcastle. Murphy and Almiron over it. Alex McCarthy, in his short-sleeved blue shirt, is standing right by his right-hand post and organising his wall. It's going to be 4 men. To give you an idea, they're only just ahead of the penalty spot.
It's going to suit a right footer, this. Jacob Murphy looks as though he's lining this one up. It's slightly to the left, isn't it? So it suits the right footer, bending it over the wall, away from the goalkeeper.
It feels like a big chance. Big chance. 5-man wall. Murphy or Almiron. Murphy will take it. And it hits the tallest man in the wall there. I think it was Vestergaard anyway. Doesn't really matter. The point is it bounced out to the far side. Here's Matty Longstaff. Gives it to his brother Sean. Down the line for Saint-Maximin. Shaped to cross. Then turned back. Gineppo with the tackle. Oh, he's won the throw really well there, Gineppo. Right in front of the assistant. Throw in. Left back. Southampton will clear.
Yeah, Murphy will be disappointed with the free kick. Have to make sure you beat the wall there. As you said, it was a big ball. Vestergaard in there, Bednarek in there. It was always going to be difficult.
It's one of those almost where you're tempted to drill it underneath. Andy Carroll is one of those that's warming up, as is Joe Linton. Ball up towards Walcott. He's been quiet second half from Gineppo, but it didn't come to him anyway. It's not Walcott's fault, more the Marlian. Now Armstrong coming forward, inside out towards the right hand side. Back to Walker Peters. Romeo, you're absolutely right about how narrow Southampton are. Even Walker Peters, who can hug a touchline, there's just nothing for him. Gineppo is tight to the left touchline now. turns away from Matty Longstaff, runs into Murphy, gets his free kick. Now, what was the difference between that and the penalty?
Very little. Very little. The fact that the only difference was it was outside the box, so there's no pressure on the referee making the decision.
Absolutely no difference whatsoever.
Probably, you could even argue that's probably less of a foul. It was almost Gineppo running into Murphy.
Same players, different outcome. Stevens gives it to Gineppo from the free kick, and then he'll come back into the centre circle for Bednarek. Up to Armstrong. Got a little nudge from Lewis there. Newcastle have won it back though. Here comes Matty Longstaff. Threads it into the right hand channel for Wilson to chase. He'll do well to keep it. I thought he was there to keep that in. He's just let it run behind.
Yeah, I didn't think it was a great ball from Longstaff, but it did look as though Callum Wilson was going to get there and then almost slowed down.
Yeah,
he's just holding his hamstring, is he?
I just wondered that. He's not exactly grimacing in pain. Nathan Redmond's about to come on. Funny enough, we had a tweet about your comment about Nathan Redmond earlier on.
Yeah.
I'll have a little look down and see if I can find the detail of it. From NYC Gooner, who's also got in brackets Arteta out in his handle, which is interesting. Just heard Chris say, take off Gineppo for Redmond. I'm wondering why he thinks he's on the bench. The fact is he and Walcott are both still prospects, even after all these years. Hasenhüttl has told him he needs more from him, not just basic passes, hence Gineppo.
Let me tell you, I'd take both of those over Gineppo every week. That's just my opinion. You're entitled to yours, absolutely.
You're absolutely right. Yeah,
and Arteta out, I'm not so sure about Arteta out. I can understand how some Arsenal fans are maybe disappointed with the style of football, but you can't argue with what he's done and the effect he's had on the team.
And by the way, NYC Gooner, guess who Gineppo's coming on? Guess who Redmond's coming on for? It is Gineppo. So Ralph Hasenhüttl has certainly seen enough of the Malian, and Redmond getting admittedly a relatively rare chance. He's got 27 minutes to try and do something. Newcastle still with just the one change having been made, even though they're still 1-0 down. Can they change things now with Wilson moving it to Sam Maximan? Almiron's pointing to where he wants it. Instead he goes wide to Lewis. Gets it back to Sam Maximan with the hairband. Hair flowing over the top of it. Federico Fernandez. Lascelles. Sean Longstaff dilly-dallying on it. The tackle came in from Armstrong. He's done well to work it left for Fernandez. Now to Sam Maximan. He'll always want to move in. That's a nice ball towards Almiron. Just waited too much. And Almiron couldn't get onto it. Runs behind. Goal kick. Nice idea. Difficult to execute.
Yeah, just probably wrong technique. Tried to hit it with his instep. Actually, if he'd have hit it with the outside of his foot, it would have been bending back the right way for Almiron and would have probably slowed down for him.
Vestergaard will clear from the short goal kick. Found its way to Walcott. Now space for Armstrong to tear forward. Armstrong moves it onto his left foot. Tries to slip in. Walcott!
Good tackle.
Oh, great tackle by Lascelles. Absolutely huge. And Walcott's gone down in pain. How he would love to get back on the goal trail for Saints, Theo Walcott.
The ball was there to hit, wasn't it, for Walcott? Lascelles comes in. I think he gets the ball first, then might catch Walcott. It was a good break, wasn't it? They were very high, Newcastle. Get caught in behind, the ball into Stuart Armstrong. He just lays it back across the 18-yard box into the path of Walcott. Looks a perfectly timed challenge. You have to see it again.
Well, here it comes. This might be the angle. Lascelles.
Oh, it's a penalty.
Ooh,
he doesn't get any of the ball, does he?
I think he does, but he's definitely gone past it, and it might even be classed as dangerous.
Yeah, his follow-through's definitely reckless and dangerous. You could argue that's similar to the Harry Maguire one where he gets sent off for England, I think, where he might make some contact with the ball, but then the follow-through makes contact with the player. Now, is that a free kick? Does he make contact with the ball? He certainly doesn't with the initial leg he wants to make it with.
There,
just about. But
before,
then his follow-through brings Walcott down.
Oh, wholeheartedly. It's at least, putting your opponent in danger.
Again, I think this is one where anywhere else on the pitch they give a free kick here, and he probably gets a yellow card.
Yeah, we've just seen an angle where you can really clearly see that.
Yeah, he gets the ball.
Contact with the ball. I mean, I've got a bit of a thing about players making contact with the ball should not just automatically not be a foul. Because sometimes you make contact with the ball and it's so slight that it doesn't divert the ball away, and it's still very much an opportunity.
I think in that respect, I think because he makes contact with the ball, it shouldn't be a foul. He's got nowhere else to go with this follow through, really.
Yeah.
And I think the Harry Maguire for England one is very similar. He wins the ball cleanly, and he's just got nowhere else to go, and that's where his follow through is going to go. And if the player's there, it's just unfortunate.
Well, no penalty, no free kick, no foul, no yellow card.
Probably the right decision.
Nothing more. And Southampton having been given the throw because Newcastle put it out so Walcott could receive treatment. And by the way, Theo Walcott is okay, thank goodness, on his 350th Premier League appearance today.
Well, he's not far behind me now.
How many did you get?
363.
Decent career, that, isn't it?
Not too bad. That's only in the Premier League. There's more than that.
Absolutely. Here's Armstrong trying to slip it into Adams. Newcastle get away with it. Sean Longstaff giving it to Sam Maximan. Poor though, not enough pace on it, and Walker Peters could get it out. And here we go. These are the changes that we've been thinking about, or one at least. And yet we did wonder about Callum Wilson. Was there a hamstring? He's just leaning forward, maybe suggesting cramp. Actually, no, he's holding his hamstring.
I think he's just tweaked it.
And it's a double change, and we're going to see Joe Linton as well, and Andy Carroll. And that's a worry, almost similar worry for Southampton losing Ings.
Yeah, absolutely.
Could be a few weeks, that.
Well, what it'll do, and probably Steve Bruce said about it in his press conference about Callum Wilson not going on England duty, would it be a good thing for Newcastle? And he seemed to think it would be. I'm sure he wouldn't have wanted Callum Wilson to pick up a little niggle of a hamstring, but if it's not too bad, it might be a blessing in disguise for them.
And Joe Linton is coming on for Jacob Murphy. So this is almost all-out attack in some ways for Newcastle. It's the exact opposite of what we've seen.
Will they play Sam Maximan as a right wing-back potentially?
It's going to have to be the way, I'd have thought, isn't
or
it?
Joe Linton on the left, Sam Maximan on the right. Certainly Sam Maximan is playing on the left side now.
So Walcott takes the ball out of play.
It's going to be a different shape, I'd imagine.
Theo Walcott, who's had his chances tonight, has not scored a goal for Southampton since January 2006.
That's a bit. He hasn't been there since then much. But
no, I appreciate that.
This is only his third game since then.
Just talking about that, that 14-year wait for his hometown club. He'd love it, wouldn't he? It would be quite the moment, and it will be quite the moment. He talked about how he'll be in tears when he put on the Southampton shirt.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, there'll be a few Southampton-related people who'll be in tears if they don't win this game.
No, they should win. They should have this game wrapped up already. That's what we were speaking about before. That's what happens when you miss your main man.
Down the right-hand side, Newcastle go. Andy Carroll will chase the pass back though. An easy one for McCarthy to get away. Header by Lascelles. Back it comes by Bednarek. Up into the air on that far side. Newcastle can't get the ball down. Maybe now with Sam Maximan. Gets it off of Romeo's toes and then slips away from one challenge and just runs into Bednarek, and he stayed down as Sam Maximan. That's a bit of a worry, but Bednarek can pass it out to Armstrong. Turns away from Lewis, and then he will just put the ball into touch on the near side so Alan Sam Maximan can get some treatment.
Yeah, he just overran the ball, didn't he, Sam Maximan, and ran into the mountain that is Jan Bednarek. Certainly Bednarek won the ball. It's whether maybe Sam Maximan just ran into Bednarek's knee or something like that.
We're now past the point where he scored the only goal of this particular fixture last season. Yeah, he just ran into Bednarek.
Yeah.
It was nothing the pole could do. Do we buy the Sam Maximan hype? Is he as talented as everyone says, or is he just exciting? Do you know what I mean? There can be a difference.
He's exciting. I don't think.
Is he effective, I guess is the question.
I think he's another one of those players, a bit like Gineppo, better than Gineppo, I think, but a little bit like Gineppo, where you don't know what he's going to do all of the time, and he's very unpredictable. And I have games where he looks like Diego Maradona.
Yes.
But he has games where he looks like, as I said earlier, a park player.
Is it fair to say that we have seen in another player in the Premier League in recent years that can be sort of tamed and trained in a certain Adama Traore? Oh,
yes,
goodness me, Newcastle
absolutely.
have given the ball away high up the field here. There's Armstrong! Bottom corner! Southampton do have their second goal. Both goals have been gifts, but Stuart Armstrong, with his 50th career league goal, makes it Southampton 2, Newcastle 0, and wraps up the points with 9 to play.
Yeah, well, they deserve this, Southampton. It's just a long hoof up the pitch from McCarthy. Not dealt with by Newcastle. Little ball from Theo Walcott. Looking for some help. Loses possession there.
Awful, really, by Newcastle.
Sean Longstaff there on the edge of his own box, trying to take 2 or 3 touches. Just needs to put his foot through the ball and clear the danger. Gets caught in possession by Armstrong.
Still got a lot to do, though.
Who then really good feet to go past the cells and then cuts it back on his left foot into the bottom right hand corner. Darlow's got no chance, but it's just really poor defending for both goals. First from Almiron for the first goal, and then from Sean Longstaff for the second. They've been the architect of their own downfall, Newcastle.
And this is the danger of playing a defensive game like this. You've got to be perfect with it.
They need to keep a clean sheet, or they're not going to win any games, Newcastle. They're not going to go and score 2 or 3 goals a game with the way they're set up.
And Ralph Hasenhüttl's side now, barring a miracle comeback, are definitely going top of the Premier League.
Well, it'd be a really good thing for Southampton Football Club and for Ralph Hasenhüttl when you think the depths that this club went to. Certainly when I was there, the 9-point deduction for financial fair play, getting relegated to League One, and now going into administration. You think how much they've risen to go top of the Premier League. What a good reward that would be.
First time since 1988 that would be.
Under Chris Nichol.
Yeah. And, well, how they would love for, buy your newspaper tomorrow morning, Southampton fans.
I'm sure they will.
Here's Almiron down the right hand side. Vestergaard just shepherds him away. Throw into Newcastle. 6.5 to play. Cher takes it. Gives it to Joelinton. He has got nowhere near the heights that he had at Hoffenheim. As a ball manages to deflect away from Lascelles and onto Nathan Redmond. He's got a runner in Shea Adams, left side of the 18-yard box. So many yellow shirts around him. One of them gets across, Fernandez turns it behind.
Shea Adams has led the line so well tonight. He really has worked tirelessly, chased everything down, held it up when it's come into him, scored a brilliant first goal. He's certainly in line to be my man of the match.
One of 6 remaining players in the Southampton team to have started all 7 Premier League games. 2 that had. Bertrand and Ings did not manage to start tonight, but Adams certainly becoming a favourite of Ralph Hasenhüttl. Here's the corner. Another one would give this the sort of scoreline that it deserves, this game.
Yeah, a fair reflection of the play.
Going to get back in by Armstrong. Header away by Fernandez. Picked up by Cher on the near side. Finds Matty Longstaff. First time pass to the left for Sean Longstaff.
Still 2-0 down, playing a back 3. Cher. This is what I'm talking about. They just don't have a change of plan. They don't have a change of system.
But in the end, staying in the Premier League, that's the only pressure on him, isn't it? While Mike Ashley is in charge, that's the only
certainly
pressure.
While Mike Ashley's in charge, that's all Mike Ashley wants.
And this will earn them the points over us. Not tonight. They've been awful, frankly, but over the course of the season. Here's Lewis. Delivers the ball into the box. That's a header towards goal. Goodness me! That was a wonderful header, flying header that McCarthy has saved from Joelinton.
Yeah, he timed his run brilliantly. Ball in from Lewis with his left foot towards the penalty spot. All the Southampton defenders had dropped deep, actually, expecting it to be a little bit deeper, and Joelinton gets across the front of Vestergaard, catches the header beautifully. Good power, heading for the top corner, and what a save from Alex McCarthy.
Here's the delivery from the corner. Away by Bednarek. Saint-Maximin picks up. Oh, poor. Really poor. Ball towards the corner flag. It's a throw into Southampton, right down by their corner flag. But that is a sign of a top goalkeeper, isn't it? Unchallenged for the entire game, and then on it when you need to be.
It's a brilliant save. It's a really good header from Joe Linton. Let's give him some credit there. He attacked that so well.
I know this is, I can't really back this up at this stage in terms of his Premier League career, but you and I both do a lot of German football, and there is no argument that there's a player in there. I just can't quite work out if Newcastle's the problem, or the system's the problem, or, is he lacking in confidence?
I think he's certainly lacking in confidence. I think that's going to be unquestionable. I mean, the pressure wearing that number 9 shirt for Newcastle is probably as big as it is anywhere in the country. But he hasn't lived up to certainly the hype when he came. He certainly hasn't lived up to the transfer fee that was paid for him.
No, you're not wrong. Goodness me, 40 million. I mean, it felt a lot, didn't it? I'm a fan of him. Don't get me wrong, but it felt a lot. They were buying potential that we weren't 100% sure was going to be realised. He was never a massive goal scorer at Hoffenheim.
Well, when you think they've paid 20 million for Callum Wilson.
Yeah.
And that's where I would put Joe Linton, around that sort of level, £20 million.
Yeah. And possibly now, if they sold him, less.
Less, absolutely.
He got 11 goals for Hoffenheim back in 18-19. One ball away by Darlow.
I think Nagelsmann, though, can get the best out of players.
Yes, he can. Yeah.
He plays systems to get the best out of players.
And I don't think it's fair to say that Steve Bruce is doing that. He's playing a system to get, a point.
To get points, rather than actually that's going to get the best out of necessarily the players that he's got.
I mean, we do criticise recruitment of clubs sometimes, but I wonder as well whether, could Joe Linton be criticised for taking that move and not thinking, hang on, I think
what an opportunity to go and play in arguably the best league in the world, to go and earn money that's going to make his family safe and not have to work again. I can understand why he's gone there. You wouldn't turn that down. Newcastle's a huge club and a fantastic place to play your football.
Southampton coming away. Not a fantastic place to play football at the moment. They haven't played much football tonight, it's got to be said. Armstrong. And in the wrong places, they've played far too much, given the ball away. But they've got a chance to come forward with Saint-Maximin here. He's been poor tonight. That one didn't get anywhere near.
The frustration with Saint-Maximin. He can do some really good stuff, but some really, really poor stuff.
Ward-Prowse caught round the neck there by Sean Longstaff. Is that a yellow card? Yes, absolutely. Rightly so. Minute plus stoppage time left for play. Southampton 2, Newcastle 0.
It was like watching the old wrestling, wasn't it? With Big Daddy.
Clothesline.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, definite yellow card that on Ward-Prowse. He's okay. Do we like him for England, Ward-Prowse?
I don't. Personally, I don't think he's quite at that level yet, but you can see why you'd want him in your squad and in your team, because set pieces can be so crucial, and his delivery from those and his goal scoring record from those is, I think he's third, isn't he? Third in Premier League history from scoring from free.
When you
set
say
pieces.
though, I mean he's 26 now, isn't he?
But he's only just got into the England squad.
Yes, he has. Yeah.
He's only just broken into the England squad. And I think it's always a big test of players when they first break into the squad. Now, can they step up again, or do they actually just go into their shell and stay where they are? So we're yet to see whether James Ward-Prowse is going to step on from that and grow from that.
15 Premier League goals since Ralph Hasenhüttl took over. Only Kevin De Bruyne has more than that. We are into 3 minutes of stoppage time as Carroll goes underneath that.
He's not bad, is he, De Bruyne?
No, he's all right. He's all right, yeah. Yeah, he'd probably get in the England team.
I think he'd get into any team, personally.
Best in the world right now?
He's up there. He's up there. I still think Messi on his day is the best player in the world. You can't get close to Messi. When he wants to dribble at you, you just can't get near him.
But as a sort of orthodox midfielder,
absolutely best passer in world football for me.
Yeah. Here comes the free kick for Newcastle. Easy header away by Bednarek. Could have scored himself today. Here's Walker Peters now tearing forward. Walker Peters out to the left-hand side for Redmond. They've got bodies coming forward. Shane Long was making the move through the middle there. It's not going to come back to him or out to him because they've gone all the way back.
Control, though. Just control possession. Ralph Hasenhüttl actually applauded the pass from Redmond back just to keep control of the football. That's what he wants, to control the game, manage the game with possession.
Romeo, Walker Peters, back to Romeo.
There's still no real effort from Newcastle to even get close to a Southampton player, is there? They're just sat back in that shape, and that's what would be frustrating if I was a Newcastle fan watching this team week in, week out, that they don't even seem like they want to win football matches.
Redmond fouled by Cher. They're having a longer conversation over it than it merits, to be honest with you. Can hear the conversation if you're quiet. It's one of the reasons I really like these games without fans.
It's interesting sometimes, isn't it,
really
when you hear what players say. Yeah, absolutely. As long as there's no swearing involved.
Personally, I don't even mind that, I'll be honest.
No, but it's not great for the listeners.
No, I do understand that. But I think if we're honest and realistic,
we all know
that
there's
they
industrial language. Absolutely.
Absolutely. Here's Walker Peters. Ward Prowse. Walker Peters. Time ticking away. We've got 40 seconds by my watch of stoppage time left for play. Long booming ball forward is headed away. Now here's Long. He's managed to turn that onto Redmond. Maybe an opportunity here. He got taken out, Redmond, but they'll continue with Armstrong. Ooh, it's spilled through the keeper's hands and it's gone away for the corner kick.
I think this is a really good save from Darlow. I think this moves an awful lot. Redmond taking on defenders, goes past the cells, gets brought down. Referee plays a good advantage as it comes to Armstrong. Takes a shot on with his left foot from the edge of the box. I think it moves a lot, and he actually does really well to react there, Darlow, as the final whistle goes.
Yeah, no time for the corner. Southampton, frankly, this is as easy a 2-0 win as you will get. Yes, the goals were gifted to them, but without Danny Ings, Saints managed to go marching on, and they've marched all the way to the top of English football. For the first time since September 1988, Southampton look down upon the rest. It's finished at St Mary's. Southampton 2, Newcastle 0. Walcott to Adams, and this time he does make no mistake. 7 on the clock. Southampton take the lead. Great centre forwards play to pressure. Almiron with the mistake. Walcott with the pass. Shea Adams with the instinctive finish. First time into the top corners.
Catches it brilliantly. Rifles past Carl Darlow, who just doesn't have time to react. Brilliant finish from Adams.
Southampton looking to win the ball high up the field again. They do to Romeo. Oh my word! I think the keeper got a hand to it and put it onto the bar. Romeo thought he had scored. Probably the goal of his career for the defensive midfielder. Took a touch to set himself. Looked up. Fired towards goal.
So I think he makes a brilliant save here. Just gets a finger on it. And
absolutely.
It onto the crossbar. What a strike from Romeo. He must have thought that he'd scored.
Newcastle have given the ball away high up the field here. There's Armstrong. Bottom corner. Southampton do have their second goal. Both goals have been gifts, but Stuart Armstrong with his 50th career league goal.
Really poor defending for both goals. First from Almiron for the first goal, and then from Sean Longstaff for the second. They've been the architect of their own downfall, Newcastle.
Southampton 2, Newcastle 0. And Southampton are top of the table. Chris Perry, what's their ceiling this season, given what we've talked about with the congestion and the fact that perhaps the clubs that are in European competition might drop more points because there's just so little time between games?
I think their ceiling is going to be, maybe they could be the Leicester of last season, where they're in the top 4, in and around the top 4 for a long time in the season, possibly get into those Europa League places at the end of the season.
I mean, it'd be magnificent, wouldn't it, to get back into Europe for Southampton?
It would. I mean, it's been a little while. They didn't they qualify for the Europa League when they first got back into the Premier League for a couple of seasons, and I'm sure they'd love to again.
And Newcastle, I mean, I really struggle with the ambition of this team.
Well, there's no ambition. The height of their ambition is to stay in the Premier League, and that's what they're set up to do every single game. It doesn't matter who they play the same system, they play defensively, and they're going to finish in the bottom half of the table just purely because they have no ambition to do anything more than that.
Yeah. It's not an awful lot to say about them, is there? No. They are that kind of team. I mean, if you look down the squad, I know they've got a few injuries, people like Fraser, Dwight Gale is out, I know he likes him, Matt Ritchie as well, and the keeper too. Not that I don't think a different keeper would have kept the goals out today, but that I'm sort of, from afar, I look at the criticism that the fans have of Steve Bruce, and I think, I don't really get it because of the sort of ambition of the owner. But then I look at the squad and I watch today, and I think you can stay in the Premier League with this team playing a different way. I do see that. So suddenly you can almost understand the Bruce.
They're playing Jacob Murphy as a wing back when actually he's a winger.
Yeah.
So that. They're already making him into a defensive-minded player when he's a really attacking-minded player. So play him a little 10 yards, 15 yards higher up the pitch where he's much more effective. You've got fullbacks in the squad.
Do they need a back three? I mean, they've been playing it for ages now, haven't they?
I don't think you need a back three against everyone, but I look at the Cells tonight and I think in a back four he gets exposed. He looks as though he's not carrying a little bit of weight, but he looks cumbersome when he moves, and he looks as though he'd really struggle in a back four. He needs those two players alongside him.
Well, maybe Cher and Fernandes is the partnership then, is that?
Maybe.
And Lewis certainly, as a left back.
Lewis is a very defensive left back for me.
Yeah. But he's capable, is what I mean.
Capable.
And then you've got flyers going further forward.
Absolutely.
Stick Almiron high up on the left and Sam Maximan on the right or whatever.
I'd like to see Almiron playing in behind the front two. I'd like to see Sam Maximan playing wide on the left. Something like a 4-3-1-2 or something like that could really suit Newcastle.
Yeah, it would be fascinating to see them try. They certainly are not trying. And Saints, well, I mean, this must be a confidence booster given the Ings news.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I mean, they'll be looking and probably counting down the games that Danny Ings is going to be out for. They've got one out the way. They go into an international break now, currently top of the table. They're going to be in the top 4 or 5. Really, really good place for them to be. They'll be hoping that all their players come back from international duty without any injuries and look into the next games and just trying to pick up as many points as they can. I don't think there'll be any delusions from Ralph Hasenhüttl that they can certainly finish in the top 4. He'll just be looking to take each game as it comes and keep picking up points.
It's a third home 2-0 win in a row for Saints. The fixtures are not easy in the next couple, at least. Wolves away, Man United at home, then a couple of, on paper easier ones, Brighton away, Sheffield United at home, then Arsenal and Manchester City to come. So 4 of those 6 look tough. It makes the points tonight feel even more sweet, I would have thought.
Absolutely, yeah. It was a game where you felt that if they performed, they could win the game, and they've got the victory really comfortably. The 2-0 scoreline looks comfortable, and it was so comfortable on the pitch. They probably had 65% possession. They dominated the ball. They dominated territorially. They created so many more chances than Newcastle. They were miles better than Newcastle tonight.
First win over Newcastle in the last 7 meetings. How they needed that. The Toon go on to play Chelsea at home, then a decent little run. Palace away, Villa away, West Brom at home, Leeds away and Fulham at home. There's surely some points for Newcastle in that one. They're going to have to try and find a way to attack to do it though. But Saints have beaten Newcastle and they are top of the Premier League, looking down at the rest. Thanks very much for joining us. Plenty more football to come tomorrow on Premier League Live.
Evenings with James Whale on Talk Radio.
Keep connected with round-the-clock news, essential information and expert insight.
I think we've got to be very careful about the way this has all been going on.
Cutting through the confusion with everything you need to stay safe, informed and entertained.
Everyone's going on about, we should be tracking and testing, and I just don't know how that is going to happen.
Evenings with James Whale. Weeknights from 7 on Talk Radio.
In a world of 24/7 global sportscasting and instant news infotainment, one man bestrides the airwaves like a snow-capped Caledonian colossus.
Hello, I'm Jim White.
Jim White, anchorman.
Mid-morning news team, assemble.
Jim White and Natalie Sawyer, the #1 rated news source for breaking sports stories, big-name guests, and liquid showbiz charisma.
Great Odin's Raven. That's quite a transfer.
There's nothing burgundy about Jim White. Tomorrow morning from 10 on TalkSport.
In the spring of the year 2020 AD, a deadly enemy rages like a torrent of fire between the ends of empire.
My name is Maximus Talksportus Pandemicus, gladiator of the sports radio. Gird up your loins and battle the invasion of COVID-19, because what you do today will echo in eternity.
TalkSport Legion, assume Tortoise formation against COVID-19.
Show this virus no mercy by keeping a distance of at least 2 meters at all times. That's 6.75 Roman feet centurions. Together, Legion, TalkSportus can defeat it.
TalkSportus Maximus.
On my signal, unleash hand sanitizer.
Keep it on, stay informed, and give coronavirus the red cardus.
Are you not hand sanitized?
20 years of TalkSport.
Gentlemen, good evening.
There's no such thing as an overnight success.
Accrington Stanley 4, titanium plasmatronic death droids from the future, 0.
Excess.
I wasn't getting up, I was just getting in.
Excitement.
Excuse me,
and extremely strong opinions.
I spend my life covering the big game at the big level.
On DAB, medium wave, and on your smart speaker. 20 years of TalkSport.
For all the latest news, opinions and advice, listen to Talk Radio throughout the day and stay informed as events unfold.
We're now in a position to start implementing the next part of our plan.
Find out what's happening now and what may happen next, all day, every day.
If the government gets to grips with the plan, then surely we will be able to see light at the end of the tunnel.
Listen now on DAB Digital Radio, online, via the Talk Radio app, or ask your smart speaker to play Talk Radio.
Great. The ad's done, and you're off air.
Southampton are top of the Premier League table. Ooh, I just bit my lip. Ow. That really hurt. Southampton are top of the Premier League table after beating Newcastle 2-0 at St Mary's. Che Adams scored his third Premier League goal this season through a superb volley. The result leaves Steve Bruce's side in 11th in the table. Elsewhere, Burnley have climbed off the bottom. The Clarets still winless though this season, but they did pick up a point after a goalless draw with Brighton. Sean Dyche was happy enough with his side's performance at the Amex. Plenty more matches to come on match week 8. On Saturday, we've got Everton against Manchester United, Crystal Palace against Leeds, Chelsea against Sheffield United, and West Ham against Fulham. While on Sunday, it's West Brom Spurs, Leicester Wolves, Manchester City against Liverpool, and it's rounded off with Arsenal Aston Villa.